with enough one-liners and gore for any Chucky fan. This is one cult I will sign up for. Not like that Scientology cult.
Fuck them bitches.
Oh, they should have put Chucky in Scientology.
Oh, Jesus.
That'd be a movie. Chucky versus Tom Cruise.
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
Here we go. This is a special I Remember Liking That Movie podcast because not only is this a double feature episode, and not only are these movies not that old, the first one we're going to watch just hit the 10-year, which is our 10-year rule, 2013. But the second one was only released in 2017. But neither one of us have seen these movies. Correct? You haven't seen either.
Nope.
So this is kind of, I have never seen that movie podcast. Now, did you know about these movies before I
knew about them, and they were on my list because I've seen the previous ones. And it's been a while since I've seen the previous ones. But like, I think it's Cult is the first one. It's Cult and then or Curse.
Curse
then Cult. My bad. Yeah, once Curse came out, I was like, I'll watch it when it comes out on TV. And then I just never did.
Well, Chucky, he has 7 movies.
Really?
Yeah, and a TV series that just entered its second
I've heard
season.
the TV series is good.
Or it might be done now. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Like, he is an icon. And what ultimately drew me to these two movies was we've done 2 Friday the 13th movies, the 1980 original and the 2009 remake. We have done Michael Myers' Halloween H2O. And when I was making the current list of movies for us to choose from, I almost threw in another Friday the 13th and Halloween movie in there. Friday the 13th because it was fun. And Halloween Resurrection out of pure morbid curiosity after that shit show.
You haven't seen
H2,
Resurrection?
Oh my
you?
God, what a shitty movie! I have seen it. I cannot remember it for the life.
Oh God, I cannot.
I know it has to do with a reality TV show, and they try filming this thing, and it all goes to shit because of Michael Myers showing up. But I don't remember any of the actors. I don't remember. No. Oh, I know the rappers.
Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes, yes.
I love him.
Yeah.
Terrible actor. Terrible.
But that's, and that's all
that's all you need to know.
But then I was like, hold on. There's a whole list of 80s and 90s horror icons we haven't even touched yet. And I'm like, Freddy and Chucky from the 80s. So first I went to do some lists of Chucky movies. And then to do it, I went to a ranking, a couple of the entertainment websites that I go to that rank movies. And Child's Play 3, which I remember really liking, was at the bottom of 5 of these rankings.
Damn.
So I'm like, perfect. Because I remember loving part 3, and they say it sucks. Something wasn't right. I love the movie. They said it was the worst one. Awesome. This would be good to watch. But as I went down the list, I also found that they all had another thing in common. While the original one, the remake, Part 2, Bride of Chucky, See You Chucky, were ranked differently on each list, the 2 direct video movies, Curse and Cult, were both at the top of all their lists, which I found weird.
That is very weird. Usually if it's a straight to video or straight to on demand, it's usually pure shit.
Yeah. Now, I remember Curse of Chucky coming out. I was excited. I loved Bride and Seed. It was just there's obviously movies given to the writer and director, in this case, the same guy, Don Mancini, with little interference with the studio whatsoever, because it went right off the rails, both movies.
Honestly,
right
that's exactly what I remember from both of those movies, where you're just like, we've devolved.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with it, but this is just weird.
This was, there was no notes given from the studio, or they just didn't give a shit.
Honestly, I think they all just got exceptionally high on like some mushrooms and went for it.
Because it didn't just go off the rails. Like, they embraced the fact that it was going off the rails. But as soon as I found out Curse of Chucky was going straight to video, I was like, no thanks.
Do they still call it straight to video?
I just assumed it was going to be in 2013, maybe.
Interesting.
Would they have? Know. It would have been close.
I think in 2013 we were still videoing, but there was a lot of on-demand stuff.
I think Blockbuster was really, there weren't as many, or they were gone. I don't know, but it was definitely in that time period that they were.
Okay, that was just something I was wondering. Go ahead.
But I just assumed that it was going to be a different voice, because without Stephen Dorff as Chucky, and it was going to be cheap. Then I barely remember hearing about Cult of Chucky. Same thing, straight to video. I know, no thanks. But both were number 2 and number 1 in all these list rankings, except for a couple that included the TV show in their rankings. And that was ranked number 1. Whoever included the TV show always ended up number 1. But they ranked Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky as the 2 best movies. So Chucky's an icon, maybe not as huge as Jason or Freddy or Michael, but I would argue he's up there.
He is an icon. Chucky is an icon. He's the entertainer. Like
even more so than Freddy.
Like, Freddy entertains you in order to like creep you out and then kill you. Like, Chucky is I'm going to play with you, but this is just pure fun for me. Like, there's nothing heavy about Chucky. He's just like, we're having a grand time killing everybody. Yay. And he's funny.
Yeah. And because
I'm not ashamed to be a killer. It's not an addiction. It is a choice.
That pretty much sums him up.
Yeah. He's in it. He's in it for the shits and giggles. There is no like, I'm planning on killing this particular person, or there's a vendetta I have to like fight for. No, it's just, I really enjoy killing people, so I'm going to do it.
Well, I remember in the Seed of Chucky when they have their child, him and what's her name?
Jennifer Tilly.
And the child's like, why do you kill? And he's like, it's kind of just a hobby.
It's true though. So like, he doesn't have the same gravitas as like the other killers, but he's just a good time. Yeah.
So what's your relationship with Chucky? Like, when did you start watching him? Did you like him as much? Was it
Chucky probably in the early 90s, renting. And I'm pretty sure I was at a birthday party for an older kid that I was dragged to, that we ended up watching Child's Play. And I was like, this makes me very uncomfortable. It's a doll being possessed and going around killing people. Oh God. And I think that might be when I started having nightmares about my Alf doll trying to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's definitively that, but it could be. But yeah, no, probably in the early 90s, started watching it. And every time it's on, it would be like a good time just to, you flip through the channels, you see Child's Play, you're like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Let's watch a little doll go around killing people. Because it's super cute when he's running. The little legs.
That's why he was different. He wasn't big and intimidating. He was a little doll. He was
a fucking adorable doll just going around like massacring people.
Yeah. But he did have a mouth, and I believe rivaled Freddy Krueger. Like, his one-liners, I just remember being awesome.
That's because Freddy Krueger is going for the creep, and he is going for the laugh. And it was,
and it's more his character.
It's a very dark humor.
And I remember the first Child's Play. It was a little more straightforward in terms of horror, but the second one really started to lean into the humor part of it. I think
as the sequels went on,
and then
they were like, guys, I think there really was like a chat in the writer's room where they were like, guys, it's a doll that kills people. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
And they just went for it. And I think that's the magic of Chucky. Everything's outrageous.
I love the Chucky movies. I have not seen the remake. I was standoffish at that one as well, but I do love Aubrey Plaza. And then I found out Mark Hamill does the voice of Chucky in this
really?
remake. So I'll probably get around to
I haven't seen it yet either.
I do like, he does great voices.
When they were like, there's a remake, I'm like, but why? We don't need one.
No, and I was like, without Stephen Dorff, but Mark Hamill might. I'm kind of curious now to check it out.
It's on my list.
But Stephen Dorff is back for both of these movies.
Is he?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he's still voicing these Chuckies. In Curse and Cult. So let us start with Curse of Chucky, released in the month of September of 2013. It did not go to theaters, so the top 5 movies in September 2013, from 1st to 5th, were Insidious 2, The Butler, Riddick, Prisoners, and We're the Millers. I loved We're the Millers.
I didn't really like it. No.
Oh, no?
It's not, it wasn't my jam.
I didn't see Insidious 2. I saw Insidious 1. I remember The Butler. I remember Riddick. I remember Prisoners. Nothing great there, though.
Oh, I love the Insidious movies. I do regular rewatches of them.
See, I like the first one. I do remember. It's the same guy from The Conjuring, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah. I like the first Insidious. I don't know why I didn't watch.
They're all really, really good.
The other ones.
I really enjoy them.
Now, top TV for September 2013. This is new to us because AMC and FX were now a big thing. So shows like Sons of Anarchy and Breaking Bad were on. The Goldbergs just started. Modern Family, Big Bang Theory, Arrow, The Vampire Diaries. That was some of the shows that were on. 2013 top music around this time. Roar by Katy Perry was number 1 just before Curse of Chucky was released. And Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus was number 1 just after Curse of Chucky.
Classic feminist music.
Other songs are Royals by Lorde, Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke, Applause by Lady Gaga, and Radioactive by Imagine Dragon. Those were some of the songs on the Billboard. What were the kids playing? Well, Grand Theft Auto 5 had just been released a week prior to this movie being released. And to say that game was a monster hit is an understatement. By Christmas, I was jacking cars, pulling bank jobs, taking out gang leaders, and slapping around streetwalkers.
I tried playing Grand Theft Auto once, and I was on a motorcycle apparently, and literally 10 seconds in, I'd crash my motorcycle every single time. I was like, I'm not even that mad. I was having a great time. My brother-in-law was pissed. He was like, why can't you go further? I'm like, I don't know. This is fun.
The Last of Us, now an HBO show, also came out in June just before this one. I actually got both of these games for Christmas in 2013, and it was a fantastic Christmas. There were no kids yet. Like, we woke up around 8 or 9, did our presents, had breakfast. I played my new video games all day. We had Christmas dinner in front of the TV and watched White Christmas. Then I slapped around more hookers and played against zombies.
Because that's what Christmas is about, my friend.
Yeah, nothing says
Christmas like slapping a hooker.
Also, Diablo 3, Rayman Legends, DuckTales Remastered, Killzone Mercenary, Metro Last Light, Call of Duty Ghosts. Yeah, it was all right. Total War Rome 2. In 2013, I was still gaming regularly. That would come to a screeching halt soon after.
That's what you get. That's what you get for the children's. I don't have that problem. I was never a gamer though, so I mean, it didn't really.
Oh, it wasn't just games. It was movies,
TV books,
shows,
life.
Yeah, like I watched more Magic School Bus and Curious George and
the classics, really.
Yeah, actually, I did like a couple of them. All right. So, anything you remember about 2013? Entertainment-wise, life-wise?
2013, I think that was the year I realized I was getting older. Because I was still going clubbing, but not as much as I used to. Just because I kept getting tired. I was like, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. 2013.
Yeah, when your favorite time of the day is curling up in bed to watch TV.
Like I knew it was downhill at
it.
one point because I was out on a Friday night and I literally I was like, God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Looked at the clock and I was like, it's 12:30. And all I want to do is go home.
Yeah.
Put on some thick socks. But I was going to a lot of movies at that time.
You know how much it cost me to go to the movies with all my kids?
I don't even want to know. Every time I go to the movies, I'm like, I just dropped $40 for me. Mind you, I go to the VIP because I'm not going to hang out among the unwashed masses. I'm like, I want the big comfy chair.
Yeah,
I want someone to bring me my beverage and my snack. Thank you. I want to recline.
All right.
Curse it, Chucky. Let's go.
Released on September 24th on VOD, Video on Demand, and then on October 8th on Blu-ray and DVD. It is rated R, thank God. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes and a $5 million budget. I do not know how much money this movie has made because it never went to theaters, so there was no box office to look for. It did say that in the first month of release, it had made almost $4 million. So I'm going to guess if they made $4 million in a month, that this movie was profitable.
They made their money back 100%.
Yeah, VOD, and 2 weeks later, DVD, $4 million a month. No marketing, really, no theater marketing, no theater profit sharing. But it must be mentioned that even though it was on video on demand here domestically, it did go to theaters in several other countries. So, yeah, I'm guessing it made some good money. And on Rotten Tomatoes, with just 20 critic reviews, it comes in at a mind-bending 75%.
Damn.
Yeah, and with just over 5,000 audience members, it comes in at 58%, which kind of sounds right for a horror movie. A Chucky movie, 75% from critics, it's weird.
That's so out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and then with being on top of a lot of, like, not every list, but they were never at the bottom. Never. They were closer to the top. DB has it with 41,000 user ratings at 5.8. So kind of in line with the audience score. Actually, exactly in line with the audience score. So as far as audiences go, it's pretty standard. It's the critics and the rankings that got me super curious. And those lists that I read, there were others that, like I said, had them at 3 or number 4. But for direct-to-video movies, like that just got me super curious.
Oh, 100%.
On a side note, Child's Play 2 was near the top of all these lists I read. And if I was to make a list based on my memory, number 2 was my least favorite. So I think some Child's Play movies need to make their way to this podcast because one of my favorite ones is at the bottom of every list, and the one I didn't like is near the top of every list. So either I'm an idiot or I'm remembering it all wrong. So again, 4 stars. Chucky's back, better and badder than ever. Funny and brutal, smart and scary. It's a girl in a wheelchair with a Chucky doll sitting on her lap. It looks creepy.
Oh yeah, considering she's tied to the chair, to the wheelchair.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Yes, it does look like she's tied to the wheelchair.
Her arm is tied there, and then she's just super pale. I'm like, is she already dead?
Yeah, it looks all right as far as posters go. Nothing. The taglines they used at their limited marketing was "Be afraid, be effing afraid," as in EFFING. Foul mouth, foul temper, and fear has a new home. So the synopsis that I stole from a Blu-ray reads as follows. He's back. From the filmmakers that brought you Chucky comes the terrifying return of the pint-sized doll possessed by the spirit of notorious serial killer. When a mysterious package arrives at the house of Nika, Fiona Dorff from True Blood, and the daughter of Stephen Dorff. She doesn't give it much thought. However, after her mother's mysterious death, Nika begins to suspect that the talking red-haired doll her visiting niece has been playing with may be the key to the ensuing bloodshed and chaos. The return of America's favorite toy, voiced again by Brad Dourif, is unrated and full of more blood splatter thrills and chills. So before we watch the trailer, the creator of the team behind Curse of Chucky wanted to do more of a reboot than an actual sequel. And they wanted to go back to a more scary horror rather than a gory comedy, which that's what happened. Which I did like, I'll be honest. Like the Bride and Seed of Chucky were funny and gory, but they weren't scary by any. No. So now we will watch the trailer.
Who's it from?
It doesn't say.
You found him.
Chucky's my friend till the end. Hey, wanna play? Can't we sleep in with you tonight?
It's only a storm. Good night, baby. Sweet dreams.
Don't forget Chucky.
It's a doll. What's the worst that can happen, huh?
Fuck that.
It's time to play.
But it looks all right.
I mean, look, dolls coming to life to kill people really creep me out. Okay. Just in general. and the Chucky doll, because it's not like his visual kind of changes when he's all killy, but it's still plastic dollness when he's killing. It makes me uncomfortable.
This one does look a little more creepier. Does look like they are going more for a creepier
100%.
So I don't know how that's going to help you.
Well, it looks like it takes place in a very old, rickety house out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I already feel a little bit better because that is not where I live. But yeah, no, it's very, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable.
And we're watching too.
Killer dolls make me creepy.
So what are your predictions?
Oh,
like usually we're not remembering anything because neither of us.
But I think I'm gonna like it. Yeah.
It looks well done. Like it looks like it's not a shitty like a Tremor sequel. Now, let me just be clear. I do like the Tremor sequels.
I love them all.
I've watched them all.
I love them all because they're like 5 now, right? 5 movies in total.
But
6.
But no, I think there's more.
I know I've seen them all.
Here, don't turn your computer on. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2020 had Shrieker Island.
Shrieker Island was terrible. So amazing.
Yeah, but I liked it.
Anyways,
but they're low budget. Straight to
they're super shitty. I think I'll like it. I think I will feel nauseous through the entire thing because killer dolls creep me out. I hope it's got some like scares to it.
Yeah, it looks creepy in the old house.
But trailers can be misleading. I have high hopes though. Yeah. I have high hopes.
Yeah. It did look like it could have been in the theater.
Yes.
And there are movies that go straight to on demand or streaming that you look at and go, oh, yeah, that should not have gone to a theater. Yeah. All right, now on to Cult of Chucky. A little different in that it premiered on DVD Blu-ray in October 2017, but also on Netflix. I completely missed this. I had Netflix in 2017. Again, I was probably being a snob. Which doesn't make sense. Like I said, the Tremors movies, I've watched them all, so I don't know why I just didn't watch it. It just must have fell, or I forgot about something. This apparently had the same budget of $5 million. So I don't know if the movie suffers from having the same budget as Curse, but 4 years later, we'll see. But there are multiple Chucky dolls in this movie. Something Don Mancini wanted to put in a sequel, but couldn't due to budget constraints. But now with effects being much cheaper and easier, it was shot in one location, shot in Winnipeg, Canada. I mean, talk about dirt cheap and a shithole. No offense to anyone listening in Winnipeg. But if you're listening and you're in Winnipeg, you know. You know. This one brings back a few familiar faces, including the original Andy from number 1 and 2, Jennifer Tilly, and it has multiple Chucky dolls. I don't know how many, but that's all I really know. And the TV series is a direct sequel or continuation of Cult of Chucky. As the series was being developed, the reboot was being released, and Mancini was afraid it would have a negative effect, but the series is a huge hit. Season 2 is even bigger than the first, so the remake didn't really have any effect on it at all. Now, this movie made over $2 million in the first 2 weeks, plus whatever Netflix paid for the streaming rights. And I'm not 100% sure, but I believe if Netflix pays for exclusive digital rights for a time period, and I think they get it for. I don't know if they get it for all their territories.
No, it's territory specific. It's very rare that Netflix does a worldwide premiere, unless it's one of their own properties. Yeah,
right. But it sounds like it was profitable. I'm sure Netflix paid something, and then now it released simultaneously on DVD and Blu-ray and Netflix on October 3rd. The top 5 movies in theaters as of then, October 5th, was a Tuesday, but American Made, which I loved. Kingsman, Golden Circle, which was my favorite Kingsman movie.
It was super good.
Yeah, it was really good. I love the guy, Rasputin.
Yes.
It, the first one was in theaters. Flatliners, the remake, and the Lego Ninjago movie.
Oh, God.
I never saw the Flatliners remake.
I did.
It can't be.
It wasn't.
Good. I don't even think the original was that great.
I love the first one, but that's also because I have a love affair with like that particular. Kiefer Sutherland made me uncomfortable. Jason Patrick, I love.
Kevin Bacon,
and also Julia
Jason
Roberts.
Patrick,
I had this weird fascination with her. I think it was just because she had very curly hair. It was such a good cast, and there was like so much talent in that one. And then, like, no offense to the new cast for the remake, they didn't have the depth.
No, I haven't even seen it. But I agree with you.
Trust me.
Also, Blade Runner 2049, as well as My Little Pony movie, were about to be released 3 days later on the Friday. TV in 2017, on the same night Cult of Chucky was released, you could have watched it instead of buying a DVD or watching on Netflix, was Lethal Weapon, the TV show. Fresh Off the Boat, The Mech, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, This Is Us, The Middle, Blackish, The Voice, or Kevin Saves the World. That was all on Tuesday night. Music. Rockstar by Post Malone, Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift, Believer by Imagine Dragons, 1-800, I'm not reciting the entire fucking number, by Logic. But is it Bodak Yellow by Cardi B?
Maybe. Bojack Yellow?
That was number 1.
I don't know. I remember
Yellow?
this song-ish, but Cardi B was never my fave.
What were the kids playing? Well, in 2017, this was an interesting year for video games. Well, for me. Because back in 2013, it wasn't until shortly after that games kind of just left me. Not completely, but my consumption and a lot of time for playing video games was drastically changed. Like drastically, because of children. Cock blocking, time eating, age accelerating fucking children. But 4 years later, our kids were 4 years older and they were being introduced to Nintendo. Yay. They weren't playing Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, but Nintendo was perfect. It wasn't my Halo or God of War games, but we got to play Mario. We had a Wii U, but we switched when the Switch came out. And so, Mario Odyssey was coming out. So I was excited. The kids were excited. It was great. Other games around this time was Middle Earth, Shadow of War, The Evil Within 2, South Park, The Fractured Butthole. It's not Butthole, it's Butthole. Play on words. Destiny 2, Just Dance 2018. My kids love that game, the Just Dance games.
I've always wanted to play it, never have.
Yeah, we just got 2023 for Christmas. And they've been, I don't know, they say dancing. I don't know what the fuck. They're just lunatics jumping around the living room. But on October 3rd, 2017, Cult of Chucky was released to buy physical or watch on Netflix. Do you remember anything about Cult of Chucky?
I remember seeing ads for it. And I remember thinking to myself,
saw like a poster
that's
and
fucked
maybe
up.
odd.
But I never got around to watching it because it wasn't one of those ones that I looked for. But I remember seeing ads for it and being like, that looks fucked up.
Yeah. I was kind of like, oh, they made another direct-to-video Chucky.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I just assumed it was going to be shitty. So I just never sought it out. Now I feel very upset about these choices.
Yeah, because they might be great.
According to the reviews, they're really good. And we all know internet reviewers are the pickiest motherfuckers in the world.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Tail of the tape. Let's bring up that poster. I'm going to share first. Oops. No, hold on. Sorry.
That's it. You're fired.
Oh, come on. Stupid Chucky.
Just fucking shit up.
Curse of Chucky. Curse of Chucky. Cult of Chucky. There we go. Okay. You may feel a little prick.
Jesus.
That's actually funny.
Oh, I think they just made another one.
For people listening.
I think they just made another Chucky movie. Because I saw Jennifer Tilly on set of something, including a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills is going to be in it too.
Oh, jeez.
True story.
I hope they did. Well, if these ones are good, I hope they did. For people listening, there is a woman on a gurney, and then there's blood on the floor, and standing in front of her is Chucky holding a needle, and he looks pretty happy. Not in a good way. Not a good happy. An evil happy. So the taglines for this one, you may feel a little prick, but also they use friends till the end, remember, ? Now, the synopsis I got is from a Blu-ray as well. Confined to an asylum for the criminally insane for the past 4 years, Nika, Fiona Dorff, daughter of Stephen Dorff, is wrongly convinced that she, not Chucky, murdered her entire family. So I just gave away the entire ending of Curse of Chucky.
Way to go. Way to go.
I just copied and pasted this to make it as new to me as it is to you.
Okay, but let's be real. We kind of knew everybody was going to get murdered.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that much of a surprise.
But the twist ending where Chucky pinned it on Nika, so now you know that. Fuck.
Yes, but we don't know how he does it. And that's what matters.
That's true. Yeah, that is what matters. But when her psychiatrist introduces a new group therapy tool, a good guy doll, a string of grisly deaths plague the asylum, and Nika starts to wonder if maybe she isn't crazy after all. Andy, Alex Vincent, Chucky's now grown-up nemesis from the original Child's Play, races to Nika's aid. But to save her, he'll have to get past Tiffany, Oscar nominee Jennifer Tilly. She got Oscar nominated for an. I love Jennifer Tilly. What the hell did she get an Oscar nomination?
Oh crap! For? It was a super artsy movie, I think.
Oh, one of the what's his name from New York? There, married his daughter.
I have no idea. Bullets Over Broadway. That's what she was nominated for.
Yeah, who directed that?
Bullets Over Broadway. Wasn't that creepy dude? Creepy.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! What's his name? God damn it! I wrote a paper on him in high school.
One of the most famous directors. John Cusack, Diane Beast.
That's it.
Fuck.
I kept wanting to just say pedophile, but I'm like,
directors.
He has an actual name.
Alleged.
What alleged? How about just super creepy dude? Super creepy dude.
Just marrying your daughter,
right?
Whether you adopted her or not.
But regardless, she lived in the house as his child. Ew.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, that was pretty. So to save her, he'll have to get past Tiffany, Chucky's long ago bride, who will do anything, no matter how deadly or depraved, to help her beloved devil doll. Sounds great. Curse of Chucky sounds less appealing now.
Well, Cult of Chucky, I think, is just going to be really extra. It's going to be extra, but that's because Jennifer Tilly, God, I love her. Also, it's not
I do like
a new
Jennifer
movie.
Tilly.
My bad. It was the TV show that I saw clips from and Jennifer Tilly on set for.
Oh yeah, she's in season 2. I forgot that. Yeah, when I was doing this. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think it'll be a good time. It's going to be. I think this one's going to be a little gorier, maybe a little more creative. More creative kills.
Yeah, and well, 27 critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Cult of Chucky is sitting at 78%.
God damn.
And with just slightly more than 1,000 audience reviews, it sits at 53%. And IMDb has 27,000 ratings, giving it a score of 5.2 out of 10. Again, that sounds normal for a horror movie.
I was 6. My babysitter was murdered.
Damn it.
And they never caught him?
Justice was done.
Wanna play?
Nika, the murders were real.
Chucky never was.
That's right. He was a fantasy, a delusion.
Are you feeling better now?
I don't blame you for being afraid. I was very ill.
Chucky told me. He's coming for you.
It's important that we all explore it together as a group. I think I have something that will help.
Whoa.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
First, he'll kill each and every one of you in the most horrible ways you can imagine. And then he'll kill me too.
Come to mommy.
Oh, come. Are you afraid of the truth?
Terrified. You should be too.
Night night. And they call me sick?
Wait a minute, there's 2 of them?
He'll kill us all! A true classic never goes out of style.
It looks kind of creepy too.
That one's gonna be so gross. I'm gonna spend half of it with my head behind my hands. It's drills, electric tools make me very, very uncomfortable in horror movies.
Yeah, because that would really hurt. Slowly. At least a knife goes real quick inside.
Stabbing of the knife, whatever, no problem. I can deal. Gunshots, no problem. Shit, decapitation, no problem. Drilling someone? I can't. It's too much. Ugh. Sorry. Oh, God. Okay. But it does look interesting. Very gory.
Yeah, it does. And I can see why the $5 million budget it helped that it looks like in the Curse of Chucky was in that house. It looks like that's pretty much where most of it takes place. And again, this hospital filmed in Winnipeg, Canada. It's just shot. It looks like it's just shot in that one spot. So it looks like they freed up because the effects, from what I'm seeing in the preview, and previews can lie or be deceiving, but it looks like it could have went to theater.
But I also think it's something where they just had very, very good producers on this, and they knew where to put the money, and a good director to be like, guys, this is how we can cheat these shots, so we don't have to use too much CGI, or we don't have to try and create doubles of things. Because how many times have you seen the life-size almost mannequin dolls of the actors because they have to do a particular whatever?
Yeah.
But I'll be.
Those are the best.
So I'll be interested to see how it all plays out, and if it holds the creep factor and the ick factor that the trailer has.
Well, the success of this movie, Cult of Chucky, led to the green light and USA Network and Sci-Fi doing the TV series. And then it was even a bigger hit than they thought or was hoping for, which led to the green light of season 2. So, I mean, I have really high hopes. Like, I'm hoping for some twists and turns because it looks like there's not going to be that much for Curse of Chucky.
True.
The Curse of Chucky is going to be like, man, I saw that coming.
Oh, fantastic.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to looking.
I think I just wrote them off immediately because they were not theatrical releases. And I was just like, oh, straight to video, it's going to be shit.
Yeah, and I think
I think I just wrote it off for that. And now I've learned my lesson.
Where if I would have looked a little harder and saw, especially Jennifer Tilly being back in the Cult of Chucky, Brad Dourif doing this one, I would have been excited.
Truth.
All right, well, we'll go watch it and we'll be back.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Okay, so we welcome everyone back. Okay, so we both watched The Curse of Chucky and The Cult of Chucky. I mean, you did watch them, right?
Yes, I did.
Did you watch them in order?
I did, actually. I totally looked up the order because I was like, which one comes first?
Yeah.
And it was The Curse. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I watched that one first, and then I watched Cult.
Right.
Back to back.
So I watched them back to back too. So we got 2 movies. So let's jump right in. And we are starting with The Curse of Chucky from 2013. Now, did you rent it on Prime or YouTube?
I rented it on Prime.
Right. I rented it on Prime too, and I rented the wrong one. I mean, I got the right movie, but the wrong cut. And I'll get to that as we go along, because I'm sure there's a couple things you noticed in the next movie that might not have jived, and there's a reason for that.
I was wonderful. There's a lot of things in the next movie. But anyways, first we're going to talk about The Curse.
All right.
Then we'll talk about The Cult.
Set 9 years after the conclusion of Seed of Chucky. And, okay, first stop. When I was looking through some research stuff, did you know Katherine Hagel was the main character of Bride of Chucky?
I vaguely remember that.
I was surprised. For someone that's picky about her project and a little over outspoken about...
Yeah, but... Well, I mean, was this pre or post her firing on Grey's?
When did she get fired from Grey's Anatomy?
That's a fantastic question.
Because it would have been like, well, that was 9 years after 2013. So it'd been like 2001, 2002 for Bride of Chucky.
Let's find out.
Actually, IMDb's right here on my computer. Bride of Chuck.
2005 to 2010 was when she was on. So this was
1998 Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, so that was pre Grey's when she was less
so she was still slumming it. Yeah, so she was still slumming it and
she
trying
had
to
not
claw
yet
her way up.
Convinced herself that she was a cultural icon.
Oh, Catherine. Okay, so I didn't remember that at all, and that kind of. Okay, so the film starts with a white delivery van driving and ending up at Nika's house. Nika, played by Fiona Dourif, and she is in a wheelchair. Nika's mother, Sarah, is painting, and the door knocks. Then she calls for Nika to get it. Nika does, and the delivery man recognizes her from college and flirts with her a little bit. He says the package is for Sarah, the mother, and he leaves. When Nika asks her mother if she should maybe go ask him out, Sarah, the mother, says he was just humoring Nika and she doesn't want her daughter to get hurt. Mom came across as a little bit like a bitch.
She's totally a bitch. Super passive.
He obviously wasn't humoring her.
No.
He was really flirting with her, yeah. But was Mom being mean, or did she really not want her to get hurt?
No, she was being mean.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I wasn't 100% sure.
But it's I think it's one of those, like, mean is the urge, and then she corrects.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it was a house filled with emotional abuse.
And it is totally obvious what is in the package. Like, if you didn't know what was in that package, you shouldn't be watching. Actually, you should be watching any movie. You're an idiot.
True story.
Yeah. She opens the box and surprise, it's a Chucky doll. The mother says the doll is ugly and she decides to throw him in the trash. During the night, Nika is awakened by her mother screaming and she discovers her body on the floor, seemingly have fallen off the balcony to her death. FYI, at this point, I'm already suspecting the doll.
Weirdly enough, so was I. It was super subtle. And I mean, there were some hints, but you really had to pay attention in order to figure it out.
Yeah, because if people don't know, that Chucky's he's a rapscallion.
Mm-hmm.
Nika calls the paramedics as Chucky is seen sitting in the chair by Sarah's body. Nika is later visited by, a couple days later Nika is visited by her sister Barb, her husband Ian, their daughter Alice, babysitter Jill, and father Frank. I will say this, sometimes writers and directors make the sister or brother or uncle, whatever family member that comes into these things, they make them almost villain-like. This movie struck a nice balance. I thought, like, could Barb be a Karen at times? No. Well, I do, just no. Not one that lived with me.
Yeah. I had one that lived with me right off the bat. I was like, she's evil. She is up to something nefarious. You can tell. This was not a sister that cared. This is no.
But I didn't find her overly bitchy or overly villainy.
I thought she was just like regular run-of-the-mill sister.
Yeah.
Which like just, they're not that close. They obviously have very different types of lives and, different things. So I just thought, well, the sister's my thought was she's going to push her out of the house.
Yes.
But I didn't know in what capacity.
And the husband, Ian, sometimes they make that character kind of witless and stupid. And he was pretty normal as well. They seem pretty normal family dynamic going on, which was nice. Like I was expecting a stereotype, a lot of stereotypes and I would start rooting for them to get killed.
Yes.
Nika says she was surprised. Oh, she has a surprise for Alice and looks over for Chucky, who is now gone from the chair. We know what's going on, but the movie has some nice subtleties, like almost a slow burn going.
There is definitely
not overly
a slow burn.
Yeah, but yeah.
There's like a nice pacing to it.
Yes, so it doesn't take Chucky long to get into mischief.
Yes, there's a big splash when Chucky arrives, which is fantastic, with the murder of Mom. And then after that, it's just little sneaky things and little like popping up in places where he shouldn't be and, moving things around. And the bathroom scene.
Yes, he's a rascal.
Terrified me. Girls already have this thing about shower curtains. Thank you, Psycho. So like now, every time a bathroom and there's a moving shower curtain, I'm like, get the fuck out. That also happens in real life, FYI.
Okay, so where am I? Yes. Alice says she has to go to the bathroom and Jill and Ian take her. Alice is urinating and sees the shower curtain twitch. She goes over and finds Chucky, but he does nothing and she picks him up. Again, the director-creator wanted to make we talked about this, he wanted to make a more scary type of movie this time.
Yes.
And it's these little things that are already working. Like it was a nice break or a change of tempo from the last few movies that were kind of over the top, gory and humorous. Yeah, so it is. It has it's going at a nice pace. It is kind of a slow burn, and it's these little subtleties that are so far working for it. Barb and Father Frank talk to Nika about selling the house and possibly moving to an assisted living facility, implying Nika cannot care for herself. And Nika accuses her sister that it's not about her well-being but money, and the sister Barb agrees she wants to send her kid to the private school. So she's kind of honest.
Well, she's like, we've been struggling. I mean,
yeah, her husband's working at Starbucks. We may have to
send our kid to public school. And I was like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like, this is not you struggling. This is you just being normal. Like, this is not struggles. But yeah, no, there was a bunch of stuff where I was like, God, now you're just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, to come in with a like pamphlet for an assistant, like already picking one out for her.
Yeah.
That's super insulting and incredibly rude.
Well, to be honest, if it was my brother, I'd suggest the same thing. And I wouldn't put him close by so I could visit. It'd just be enough to warrant like maybe 2 visits a year. And I'd come up with an excuse for one of those visits not to make it.
See, I would not bring a pamphlet. I'd suggest it. Be like, hey, have you thought about what you're going to do afterwards? Like, maybe we sell the house and figure it out.
Yeah, maybe not.
I can split the property taxes. Like, not just straight, here's your new place because I think you're incapable of taking care of yourself. And when she did that, though, I was like, she can just not walk. Like, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
She's fully, like, coherent. She still has full use of her upper body. I'm like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
why you
the place
think
has an elevator.
Exactly.
Like it's all designed for her to be able to move around, and yeah.
So I was like, but even if she was moving, she could just move to a regular apartment. Like that was, I was like, why does she need an assistant live? Like, okay, what do I know?
So then we cut to Nika and Alice cooking chili. Chucky is there and just looking on. When they go set the table, Chucky pours rat poison into one of the bowls. Like I told you, he's a rascal. While everyone is eating, Father Frank sweats and decides to cut dinner short and leave. Actually, they did a pretty good job making it look like it was the niece. Like you didn't have to believe it, but at least they were, because she was like, this tastes funny.
This tastes funny. And then her mom was like, just eat it.
And I was like, oh, damn, they're going to kill the kid already.
Honestly, for a while there, I was like, you guys are a bunch of assholes for doing this to me, because there were a lot of extreme close-ups of people's mouths while they were eating spoonfuls of this vegetarian chili.
That sound of it going,
and that sound, and that, I was like, oh God, this is so gross, and it makes me uncomfortable. And then when the little girl was like, this tastes funny, I was like, no, right off the bat. I'm like, no, this is, but then she stayed alive. So I was like, yay.
Yeah.
But poor Father, what's his name?
Frank.
Poor Father Frank.
And Chucky usually it's easier to get his soul into kids. They're little, so he usually keeps them alive. And then we cut to the traffic accident where 2 people are dead and Father Frank is wedged by the neck. Pressed up against a car. I thought he was already dead when the cop got there. He died in an accident. That was pretty gross.
It was a shit way to go. And I knew as soon as the cop was like, get him out of there, I'm like, no, don't.
Yeah,
that wedge of metal is probably the only thing that's keeping him alive. And then it was just like, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, buddy. No, you're not going to be sober for long, my friend.
Yeah, because he was arguing with the guy and to remove the piece so they could try to save him. The guy was like, I'm not qualified to make this call. Like he told him.
Yeah. He was like, I'm not the one, like he needs to be checked out first. And he was like, no, take it out. He's bleeding to death. I was like, oh, buddy. But I did like when his head finally rolled off. I did like the shot that there was a decapitated hand holding a rosary.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, that's nice. He was praying. I'm terrible. I'm going to hell.
As the piece of the car are removed, Father Frank's head falls off, as the car was the only thing holding it together. So the guy was right. That guy, he got a stern talking to by his boss after that, I'm sure.
A definite warning, perhaps even a suspension.
Yeah. Dock and pay. Back at the house, Nika's showing everyone a home movie of a barbecue from when Barb was a little girl, and her mother Sarah was pregnant with Nika. Her father was there, but he drowns 3 weeks before Sarah gives birth to Nika. As the video goes on, and it shows Charles Lee Ray was there and explains that he was a neighbor. Did they explain that in the movie? I thought they just said he was some creepy guy.
No,
or no,
Nika
maybe
says,
Barb said he was a neighbor.
Yeah. He was I thought she said a friend of the family. Or a neighbor.
Oh, maybe
she said
maybe
a
she
neighbor.
said it.
It was one of those. But basically, he was a peripheral person. But I was like, I looked at the film and I was like, well, this is ominous. If I saw that guy at my barbecue, I wouldn't be offering him a hamburger.
Yeah.
Be like, sorry, buddy, we're all out. Go home.
So he obviously was a friend of the family. Barb takes her daughter to bed, but she wants Chucky, who has disappeared. Nika and Jill search the house. Jill goes to the bathroom, sees the shower curtain twitching, which turns out just to be an open window. Nika comes back to the living room. The movie is finished. Barb's husband, Ian, is sleeping, and Chucky's sitting next to him. She wakes Ian, and they both think that his daughter, Alice, put Chucky there. They skip over the best parts. Jill is looking for Chucky everywhere and then runs into Barb, who I thought was going to get all mean girl because Jill was kind of flirting with Ian at the dinner table.
It was a really good bait and switch.
Yeah, but as Jill is saying she needs a fucking search party to find this doll, Barb grabs her in her hair and starts making out with her.
Yeah, well, I was like, Jill, is that any way to talk to your boss? And I was especially thinking because like they had been super cold up until then, and then all of a sudden she's talking to her best friend, and I was like, what? Because I was 100% convinced Jill was stooping the dad.
Yeah,
100%.
So was I.
So I was like,
they were lesbians.
Yeah, I had no idea.
They started making out.
I was like, good for you, Barb. Good for you, Jill.
I was like, bravo.
Yeah, I was.
Bravo.
Oh, jeez. But I was like, you know what? Testament to this movie. You didn't pick up anything. There was nothing to even suggest. Like nothing.
No, and they led you down the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, good for you guys. I'm very impressed with you.
Now, she did tell Ian that she was making $400 a week being a nanny, and he was like, that's more than I make. So, yeah.
Well,
maybe we should have put it together, but yeah, no, I was good. Nika takes the doll to Alice while going upstairs in the lift. The power cuts out and she is alone with Chucky. When the power comes back on, Chucky's head is turned to face her and she jumps, but just assumes it is something the doll does, as Chucky says his good guy lines.
That entire scene in the elevator.
It was creepy.
It was so creepy. It was so, because you hear the knife being moved and you hear and you're just like, God,
you hear the slice, do you not? The leg.
I think
or
you
something
do.
Along.
You hear a second noise and you're like, what the fuck was that? Because they're silhouetted. So you don't actually see any detail. And then all of a sudden the light comes on and you're in Chucky's face. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, why would you do that? That's one thing I will say for this movie, and we'll cover it more, I'm sure, but it really sets the tone and it gives you good creep. Like through the entire thing, you're just a little, and the music selection was perfect. And you're just like, this is a good creepy movie.
Yeah. Yeah. The stationery at the house, mostly at the house. Yeah. That was a good idea. Yeah. No, so far they're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
While this is happening, it is revealed that Barb is actually the one having an affair with Jill, and it shows them kissing in the kitchen. Oh, sorry. I apologize. My enthusiasm for the lesbian scene got the better of me. I jumped ahead of the plot line.
Because we all know if there's a lesbian scene, we need to talk about it now.
Exactly. But yeah, even when Alice takes Chucky, his head spins around and says, I like to be hugged, or let's play, or whatever it is he says. I think I saw your mom kissing the nanny. But Alice is like, I didn't know you can do that. So, and then because the head turns, because the head turns back when she takes him.
I think,
and everyone just assumes it's the doll.
Honestly, look, if I see a doll with its head turned all the way around, there is nothing okay about it. Unless I have personally done that, then I'm taking that doll and I'm burning it.
Yeah, no kidding.
After dousing it in holy water.
Now, Barb puts Alice to bed with Chucky. The lightning scares Alice, so she gets under the covers with Chucky, and she says she's scared. It shows Chucky's first facial movement as he tells her, you fucking should be. Just before that, though, it shows Barb putting Alice to bed, and it shows Barb being a mom who actually looks like she loves her kid, which I thought was really humanized her. Like they're giving Barb some depth.
Yeah.
And when she kisses Alice goodnight, and she's like, "Don't forget Chucky," and she's looking at it like, "I don't want to kiss Chucky."
I'd forget Chucky. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance. This doll fucking freaks me out because there's one scene where Chucky's like smiling but closed mouth smiling. This is like earlier on, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is not okay.
Oh yeah, no, they know how to make Chucky creepy.
They really do.
Jill uses Skype to see Barb in the other room. As Nika Nika's in another room learning more about the doll's connection to Charles Lee Ray. Barb sees Chucky running in the background and assumes it's her daughter awake because she just catches it.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks it's Alice playing, but there's no sound on the computer. Now, okay, at this point, I thought Barb and Ian were separated, or was it just they only had so many rooms in the house type thing?
No, they're not separated.
They're not separated. Okay.
They're not separated. Barb is still pretending to be happily married to her husband.
Because she did have the ring on her finger, and she thought, well, if I'm going to have computer sex, I might as well take wedding finger.
If you're going to have computer sex while in the bed with your husband on the computer with the nanny, it's like, you're kind of a shit. When I saw that, I was like, are you about to have like digital sexy times with your husband laying right next to you?
Well, and as much as I appreciate Jill in her frilly bra and panties, not real motherly Skyping and like with Alice is behind her.
Alice is in the bed behind her.
Yeah.
Jill is on the bed wearing panties and a bra.
Yeah.
On the computer about to have cyber sex.
Yeah.
With Alice's mom.
Yeah.
There's so much wrong with this one scene.
You're like playing with fire.
Jill didn't even go into the bathroom. She's not even wearing a t-shirt, tank top and shorts, like the little frilly shorts. Nothing. I'm just like, and the part that annoys me the most, I'm like, fine, bad decisions on Jill's part. So be it. Like the mom, Barb, what are you doing? Barb, your daughter is in the background.
Yeah. You're just asking to get caught.
When Chucky goes running by and she's all like,
yes, pointing the finger behind her. That was creepy, like, seeing his little head bounce, like
that was super creepy. But then I was like, is that all you're gonna do? Like point while your child runs out of the room? Why? Because the babysitter's wearing a bra? You're not even gonna tell the babysitter to put on a t-shirt? I'm like, anyways.
No, the husband's fast asleep beside her. Like I can kind of see that, but your kid is sleeping right behind your hot, toned, tanned au pair. Like that's the weird part.
Well, the weird part, I'm like, this is just it's super. Like if the kid wakes up, there are questions.
Yeah, there's gonna be a couple of questions.
Yeah, quite a few questions.
When Jill takes off the clothes, she turns around. Oh, okay. And there's Chucky. Okay. The plot missed something. Okay. This part is wrong. Barb is pointing at Jill while like she has high marks in the looks department, but yeah, she's not in the sparse department. Cause I thought it was funny as the mom's pointing and then Jill's like pointing back.
Jill points back like, oh, you're so playing. Cute. Yeah. I'm like,
kind of like foreplay.
This is not a game, yo.
But when Barb finally gets through to her, Jill, I believe, already gets she has that look on her. Like she has that, you can tell she has a feeling that someone is beside her and watching her who is not Alice. And might I say, for someone who is obviously supposed to be eye candy in the movie, and she's not overly ditzy at all, like through the whole thing. Like the computer pointing thing is just her playing and whatnot. And her reaction to turning and seeing Chucky was great.
Yes.
Like, and because when she slowly turns and sees Chucky just standing.
He's just standing there. And then I was sitting there going, oh, girl. Oh, girl. Oh. And then as soon as she got electrocuted, I was like, oh.
Yeah, just kick the bucket.
I was like, this is not nice. I'm sorry.
So he kicks the bucket of dripping rainwater over and it goes into the mains and electrocutes her. It kills her and causes a power outage. He jokes by saying, women, you can't live with them, period. By this time in the movie, I did appreciate a little Chucky one-liner.
Yeah, I felt like it was very much lacking through the entire movie.
The whole
Chucky's dialogue, period.
Yes,
you
it was
hardly ever hear,
really scaled back.
Yeah, it was down to like bare bones. And I was like, oh, this is new.
This is Chucky. Yeah, this is and it reminds you, yes, he's here.
Yeah.
Barb wakes her husband Ian and tells him she thinks that their daughter Alice is awake and she's going to go see, and to which Alan replies, "Are you checking on her or Jill?" Ian knows of the affair between Barb and Jill and puts the cam on Chucky to get evidence so he can get full custody of Alice. And he explains that in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I guess I did miss that. Yeah, they are separate. They aren't separated, and I like his character too. They show that he really likes his kid as well.
I loved his character.
Yeah.
I was like, you seem like a genuinely good guy.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
And actually, hats off to the cast. Like, they're all pretty good and believable.
I was super surprised.
$5 million straight to VOD and DVD. Like, this could have been so bad.
It could have been absolutely terrible. But I was like, guys, this is super good.
And a lot of these actors are voice actors. They do movies and TV as well, but they do a lot of voice acting in video games and stuff like that.
The dad is a big Hallmark movie guy.
I was going to say that. When I looked up he's in huge amount of those Christmas Hallmark movies. Like a lot.
He's a Hallmark guy.
He's like the go-to guy.
He's one of the go-to guys. Like there are a certain group of actors that you're the Hallmark guys. And then there's a certain group of actresses, they're the Hallmark girls. And when you put them out there, it's magic. It's magic that happens.
I'll take your word for it.
He's had a little bit of work done.
Oh,
overall, very good work. But you can tell because you're like, you looked older 10 years ago and your face doesn't really move anymore. Still looks good. But I'm like, you've had surgical help. But anyways, the acting was actually really, really good. I was very, very surprised.
Yeah, no, I was too. And so he tells her that he put the nanny cam in the doll and he's going to get full custody. Barb walks out of the room. Ian goes back to sleep with earplugs. Barb finds Chucky at the bottom of the attic stairs and thinks Alice is up there and picks Chucky up. While this is happening, Nika checks it out on her laptop. She has grown more suspicious of Chucky. She is researching the Good Guy dolls and comes across the stories of Andy Barclay online. She phones the parcel place, but reception is poor. But she finds out that the parcel came from an evidence department. Nika shouts for Barb and they have an argument. Nika tells her to put the doll down. She doesn't know what it is Barb thinks she is talking about, the cam that Ian said he put in the doll. Okay, yes. All right. Sorry, I'm reading the stupid plot line. Yes, they're having a conversation with each other. They're having two different conversations. Yeah. Barb thinks they're talking about that her sister knew about the camera, and she's talking about the actual doll, the doll being dangerous. That was a clever scene, actually.
That was a super clever scene, and you could see the frustration and the anger, and then you could see the bewilderment on her face when she was like, I think we might be talking about the different things.
Because I did agree with Barb, like it is a big deal if like, because she says, when are you talking about? Like, how long have you known?
Yeah.
And she's like, what does it matter? And she's like, it does matter. And she thinks she's talking about the nanny cam.
If we're talking about the nanny cam, yes, it matters.
Yeah. If we're talking about a psychotic little doll, it doesn't matter. Just drop the doll.
Just drop the doll. However, it was a nice little confusion where I'm like, this is probably a conversation that would happen because you just assume everybody knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, it was well done. Then Barb accuses her of knowing all along. She goes up the stairs to the attic. Nika gets out of her chair and attempts to pull herself up the stairs as the power is out. In the attic, Barb discovers a knife by Chucky, and she places him and the knife down while she is looking for her daughter. Again, I don't write these outlines. She finds the knife hidden inside Chucky's overalls and takes it out.
She takes it out and puts it right next to him.
Yeah. But again, she doesn't. But wouldn't you be like, why is there a big butcher knife in the doll?
Well, no, the question is, why is there a big knife in this doll's overalls?
Yeah.
I would not put the knife down next to it. I'd put the knife back in the overalls so I could carry it all downstairs. Because I'm assuming you're taking the doll with you.
Yes.
What do I know?
Then she turns around and Chucky is on the shelf behind her, but he looks different. She noticed that his face is wrong and she begins to peel off the latex strips. She is surprised and scared when there are scars on Chucky's face. I was so happy to see the real Chucky. And I like the whole putting makeup on to hide his appearance and appear like a regular good guy doll. Like really silly, but that was fun. That was a fun scene.
I loved the reveal, and as the latex is being peeled off, and I was like, oh my God, right. Because Chucky had all this, right. And it was like a nice little like, okay, this is what he really looks like.
Yeah,
although I will tell you when she ends up putting her finger like basically in his mouth, and then he like goes and tries to bite it. I'm like, oh geez.
Did you jump?
I literally was like, girl, don't do that. Girl, don't do that. Girl, don't do that. And then she did that. And then I jumped a little bit. And I was like, Jesus, I knew it was coming, but still.
She puts her finger. Oh, here we go. She puts her finger near his mouth and he almost bites and goes for it. And she jumps back. He then stabs her in the eye and pulls it out. Now, this is where the uncut version, the regular version differ a bit. Just to give you an idea, the uncut version was only available on DVD or Blu-ray at the beginning, and the regular version on VOD. When I rented it on Prime, I got the regular version. In the uncut version, because we hear the knife go, because he says, what does he say? Your eyes are just like your mother's, too close together.
Yeah, and still too close together.
Yeah, and you see him go to hit her, and then it cuts, but you hear it go in.
Yes.
In the uncut version, you see the knife go into the eye.
I'm glad I missed that.
So on top of a bit more gore, there's one major difference between the regular and uncut version, which we'll get to in a bit because it really does the regular movie injustice. Anyways, Nika goes up the stairs to the attic, or starts going up the stairs to the attic as Barb's eyeball comes rolling down the stairs. Barb walks up to the door and then collapses and dies. Actually, she falls down the stairs and dies.
Correct.
Chucky walks down the stairs and tells Nika she's next. Nika scrambles in a closet and gets a spare wheelchair and wheels herself to Ian's room. Chucky's taking his time. And I get it. She's crippled. Where's she going to really go? Also, when he steps on the eyeball and it squishes, that was gross.
Yeah, I was like,
popping.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Nika wakes Ian up and explains what happened. And then he takes her downstairs to the garage as Chucky is watching. Ian leaves her in the garage and goes back to look for Alice. I didn't get that whole garage thing. Like, I kind of got it. Like, I'm going to put you here so I know where you are. I'm going to find my daughter and then we're going to drive out of here. But he could have put her in the car or something.
Yeah, when he literally just rolls into the garage and he's like, okay, I'm going to go get Alice. I'm like, oh, buddy, you don't even know where Alice is.
Yeah.
Like, at least, like, if she can't drive out, then at least drive her out. But I know you got to get Alice. So I'm like, but don't leave her in the garage. I was like, man, they're going to, like, stage a suicide. This is going to be bad. But I was like, I don't know. I'm not a frantic father trying to find my daughter who's lost in a Victorian Gothic house.
He's obviously not thinking straight.
Yeah. But still, as soon as I saw, like, okay, you wait here. I was like, well, first of all, where the fuck is she going to go?
Yeah, you could have left her
out
anywhere.
into the living room. That's it. What is she going to do? Anyways.
Now Chucky gets in the car. He starts revving the engine to kill Nika with fumes. Nika searches the garage and smashes the car window with an axe. She finds and reaches for the keys, but Chucky grabs them and swallows them.
That was the greatest.
Yeah.
Like the amount of petty on Chucky's face when he's swallowing that key. I was like, yes.
And he was he was pretty proud of himself.
So proud. So proud.
Oh, okay. Chucky gets in the car. She finds him, but he grabs us. Well, Ian returns and thinks that Nika murdered everyone. Nika then has a heart attack and faints. Actually, she grabs her EpiPen or needle thing there and explains to Ian that he has to inject her under the ribcage. But Ian's like, I don't think so, psycho.
Yeah, Ian just stares at her.
Yeah, and to be fair, it doesn't look too good for Nika at this point.
No, it doesn't.
No, all the evidence is pointing to Nika.
It's super weird, but still at the same time, I'm like, y'all showed up at her house, and really all she would have to do is kill Barb, because Ian was all about her staying at the house.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, that's a lot of killing just to get rid of Barb, who wants her to move from the house. I'm just saying. But I mean, Ian's frantic. He still can't find his kid. Like, I get it. He's emotional.
Yeah.
But I was like, at least like shoot her up. Then you can still tie her to her chair.
When she wakes up, Ian has secured her hands to the wheelchair as she pleads that it's Chucky. He tapes her mouth and says he has proof and starts to look on his laptop at the cam. Then he realized that it is Chucky and he cuts to the live feed. Okay, first, I love the part where Chucky's putting Alice in the closet to hide.
Yeah.
And she keeps talking. He's telling her to shut the fuck up. You see the POV from the nanny cam and Chucky's hand is closing the door and Ian's kind of now in shock.
Yeah.
So Ian cuts to the live feed and Chucky is at the door and he pushes the wheelchair into him. Actually, Ian's watching the nanny cam POV come up from behind him for like a minute of Chucky walking towards him. Like he's watching himself watch the laptop. And I guess they did it because he's in shock that like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Chucky knocks him to the ground and then hits him in the head with the axe, taking his lower jaw clean off.
That was super gross.
Yes. First, my one gripe about this movie, do you know the amount of momentum you would have to get from that fucking wheelchair to make someone fly into the air and somersault?
Not the exact formula. However, it's a fuck ton.
Yeah. Yeah. He looked like he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
It was also awesome when Chucky walked by Nika towards Ian and then he's holding up his finger and he's like, shh.
Yeah.
And when he does chop that jaw off, that was gross. And that's the regular version. I don't know if it was different in the uncut version, but that was super gross. His tongue just kind of flopped out.
Like it was.
Yeah.
You could see the spinal cord. Like it was a whole thing.
He then goes for Nika, who has managed to wriggle out of her restraints, and she leans back in her chair and takes the axe. Chucky's going at her, and he gets her in the knee, which does nothing because she can't feel it, and she bitch slaps Chucky like a pimp. Nika removes the axe from her knee and hits the doll with the blunt side and knocks his head off. As she relaxes and tries to tie up the wound to stop the blood, Chucky's body is standing up in the background as he reattaches his head. He then pushes Nika through the hallway and over the balcony and she falls to the floor. This was a fantastic scene.
Yes.
From bandaging herself up, Chucky behind her looking for his head and grabbing the wheelchair and running down the hall, and those little fucking legs just giving her.
Can I tell you, every time you just, especially when there's a close-up of just his feet, like running, walking,
so
whatever.
creepy. His legs going.
So creepy, but so cute. I'm like, I have so many conflicting emotions.
Chucky walks down the stairs and explains why he is doing this. He claims that he was a friend of the family and he was in love with Sarah, the mom. But she was married and pregnant with Nika. Charles then drowned Nika's father and kidnapped Sarah sometime after the funeral. Sarah then stalls Charles from going to get Barb from school as the police arrive. Pissed, Charles then stabs her in the stomach, rendering Nika a paraplegic before she is even born. Charles Lee Ray runs from the cops and ends up breaking into a toy store to get away before the cops shoot him. Before dying, he transfers his soul into a good guy doll. So because of the kidnapping, this all led to Chucky's death as a human, setting off the chain events of the franchise. I don't think that's how it played out in Child's Play. I know he dies in the toy store. I forget why he was there and what preceded that. I know he was a serial killer and all that. But this was a nice way to alter it slightly, if that's what they did, to make way for this story and the stories that follow. The power comes back on, and Nika managed to get into her lift, the elevator. But then it goes out again, and she has to hold the door closed as Chucky slashes and keeps cutting her fingers.
Okay, can I point out something that made me super angry about this scene?
Oh, it might be the same thing that made me angry.
This girl is getting her hands cut the fuck up, and she keeps her hands there.
Now, that's what I thought. Okay, because I actually made a note. I was like, Jesus Christ, let go of the fucking door. Your hands aren't paralyzed. I know you feel that. But she had to bear the pain because the door didn't lock. So if she let go of it, he could get in. So he was actually, she was holding and letting him cut there just so she could keep the door locked. Because it looked painful.
But also, it did look very painful.
Yeah.
But also, I
freak out over a paper cut.
No, I was fine. But like the cuts were happening to her fingers.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, you're going to need those hands. You can't afford to like, part of me was just like, you should have wedged your foot in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also those, oftentimes, if it was the inner door, it would have locked. The outer door might not, but the inner door in those elevators do lock.
Lock.
Because it has to close up and stay closed while it's traveling. Anyways, I don't know why I have that elevator information, but I do. Actually, I do know why. I used to work at the Masonic Temple, and we had one of those elevators. We even had an elevator operator because no mere mortal could run one of those. Anyways, the other thing that drove me nuts was when she was getting into the elevator. She scooches her feet towards her.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She doesn't drag herself anymore. Her feet actually, like her legs, moved, like her knees bent. And I was like, oh, girl, we were so close. You've been doing so well.
I didn't notice that.
True story. It was like a split second just before she goes to close the door. I was like, you just bent your knees and moved your feet. But it was just a second. But I was like, God, you've been so good up until now.
Yeah,
there was none of it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, even when she was dragging herself like half up the stairs, down the hall, her legs were dead weight. Then she gets in the elevator and all of a sudden her knees bend.
Nika takes the knife from Chucky, and then she tells him to come and get it. She didn't just take the knife from him. She grabbed like the whole knife,
she grabbed the blade.
Yeah, the blade, and pried it from him. That I wouldn't have been able to do it. Chucky runs at Nika and bites her, but she plunges the knife into his back, and all the fluff comes out. Nika thinks she has finished Chucky off, but he's still alive. That was funny. Like that was a lot of fluff. Like maybe she thought it was his blood. But I mean, you chopped his head off and he got up and put it back on him. Like the fluff, losing a bit of fluff's not going to stop him.
It's a possessed doll.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a little person in a cute little outfit. It's a possessed doll. I don't know why you think taking its head off is going to help or cutting it open is going to help. It's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
You just can't keep a good guy down.
That's right. You can't. But all the fluff and coming down, like showering over, that was pretty good. The cop who has been told that Father Frank was at Nika's house before his crash arrives to investigate and knocks on the door. When Nika screams for help, he breaks the door down and comes in to see Barb's body dead on the landing. As he sees her clutching a knife, he sees Nika clutching a knife. Chucky has returned to the seat where he was at the beginning of the movie. That was cool seeing the cop look around and then slowly putting it together. Like there's no one else. Well, he didn't check the whole house, but she's looking pretty guilty.
Especially the way she was holding the knife.
Yeah.
Like she was mid-stab. And I was like, okay, yeah, this looks bad.
Yeah, that wasn't a defensive hold. That was an offensive hold. It cuts to a judge saying he finds Nika guilty of the murders and will be reprimanded in a hospital for the criminally insane. As she is wheeled out of the court, it shows all the weapons and evidence in the murders. As Nika is wheeled past Chucky, she taunts him by saying that she is still alive. Yeah, if people didn't think she was batshit crazy before, that might have did it.
Mm-hmm.
The cop who made the arrest carries an evidence bag with Chucky in it. He makes a call to whoever is on the phone to bring his money. He places Chucky in the passenger seat and notices the bag is moving with Chucky breathing. As he goes to touch it, that was creepy. Tiffany comes from the back seat and slits his throat with a nail file. Tiffany has Chucky all boxed up again and sends him off. Seeing Jennifer Tilly at the end was awesome.
It was.
I do like her, and she's great in these movies.
She's awesome, period.
The scene then changes to Alice coming through the door of her new home, looking for her grandmother. But seeing she is not home, she finds Chucky on the table, and he says he wants to play hide the soul. Actually, she sees an open box, and you, the viewer, are like, what's that rascal up to?
What's that rascal up to?
And he successfully transfers his soul into her. This is a great scene. That whole part where he's where's grandma?
Yeah.
Where's grandma?
In the cellar.
What's she doing down there?
Nothing.
That whole innocent nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
That killed it. Oh, God. Now, and then the grandma shooting up in that last scene there with the plastic bag over her head.
That it didn't make me jump. It made me startle.
Yes. Yeah, I was not expecting that.
I was like, motherfucker, grandma, where'd you come from?
Now, this is the part that is not in the regular version. This part is only in the uncut version that I had to go. I only realized it when I started watching Cult of Chucky. So 6 months later, a package is mailed to Andy Barclay. This is at the end credits. Andy places the package down on the table as the phone rings, and he starts talking to his mother, Karen Barclay. He tells her he will see her tomorrow as it's his birthday, but he says, no surprises, dear, as the camera pans to his graduation diploma from Kent Military Academy. That's from Child's Play 3. A picture of Kyle and a picture of young Andy with his mother, Karen. A knife then pokes out of the box as Chucky cuts himself out of the box. He actually Chucky gets out and looks around as Andy is talking, and then goes to what we can almost assume is kill Andy, but he might not have been. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he is a no good Nick, and we can probably safely assume he was going to kill him. But Chucky gasps when Andy's pointing a shotgun directly at Chucky's face and says, "Play with this." Chucky screams, "Andy!" Screen goes black, and the gunshot is heard. So that part was in the uncut version.
Yes, and I wish I had seen the uncut version, because that would have made the Cult of Chucky make so much more sense.
Yes. It actually, because now, and we'll get to that. Well, and we'll get to that in a second, because it's showing a Chucky doll taking Alice, and it's seeing a different Chucky doll going to kill Andy.
Yeah.
And that made a huge difference in the Cult of Chucky, which we're about
I
to
wouldn't
go
have
into.
spent the first 20 to 30 minutes of the Cult of Chucky
going, what the
being
fuck?
Like, but how? But how?
Yeah.
I don't understand, but how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not the director or the writer's fault. That is the company's fault. Like,
yes.
They should include that in every version, because it's a big reveal. It's a big part of the next movie.
It's a huge plot point.
And it's an awesome scene.
I believe
they show a little bit of a Cult of Chucky.
Yeah.
Of him with the gun, but if you go on YouTube to watch it, you see the box on the table, and then the butcher knife come out from inside and go like this to cut out, and then Chucky gets it. And it has all these things that harker back to Child's Play 1, Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3. And and it introduces 2 Chuckies. So you're like, hi, what? And after this, I'm like, how the fuck are there 2 Chuckies? But we'll get into it. But let's stay with Curse of Chucky at the moment.
Yes.
So my initial thoughts are that, like we talked about how is it Dan or Don Massini? Oh, shit. The creator. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. Don. My bad. He wanted to make a more scary movie and not a funny gore fest. So that was what I was expecting. That is what I got. It was great. It still had the one-liners, like a couple of them, a couple jump scares.
Yeah.
Gore, but not overly. But the gore was great. That gore that was there, it was really gory. It still had humor. But most of all, the cast was awesome. Father Frank, Ian, Barb, Jill, even Alice. They're all stellar. This is a testament to the producers and casting that found great, capable character actors. What about your initial thoughts?
It wasn't. I was surprised that it wasn't as quippy or have as many like Chucky one-liners, or it wasn't as funny. I was impressed with how creepy it was.
Yeah.
And like the low level of discomfort that you have through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh, don't do that. Oh, don't do that. And I liked that a lot. It was a really, really good movie. Also, the house may or may not be exactly like the house from Scary Movie 2. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, now that
like
you said that. Yeah.
I'm just, next time you watch Scary Movie 2, just take a look at the floor plan of the house and be like, wait a second.
Scary Movie 2 could have been shot in Winnipeg.
Very possible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I thought it was overall just like a really, like it was a good scary movie. I don't think I would have necessarily, I wouldn't bunch it with the first three. You know what I like? It almost feels very standalone-y.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that's because we kind of got used to, the first one was a little more on par with this one, but it quickly, you were rooting for Chucky. It was a fun horror movie, where this one was a lot creepier than what we were used to.
This was not I revel in the violence.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one is like you revel in the violence for that. And even to a certain degree, 2 and 3, if I remember correct. I know I saw 2. I'm not sure about 3, but I feel like there was more entertainment with the violence.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky most definitely was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just off the rails, humor, gore, and violence. In a fun way. For
sure. And I think this one is just very much like, we're making a scary movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can respect that. It was it was a very well done movie.
Yes. Yeah. My score would be like, okay, so this movie could have easily been a straight to video shit show. But the people over at Universal believed enough in Chucky's creators and crew to put enough money to make a way above average straight to VOD. This movie looked and played like it could have, and maybe should have, went to theaters. It was a slow burn, but if you haven't seen it, it wasn't that slow. It might not have jumped right into the chaos, but it had a nice steady pace. While I already said that the cast was great. Fiona Dorff was stellar. And of course, Brad Dourif, as the voice of Chucky, made it a horror movie on another level. The one-liners, the tone, the playfulness of Chucky's demented way of thinking wasn't overpowering in this film, but there was enough of it to know this is a Chucky movie. I missed it in 2013, and I really wish I didn't. The only good thing about that is that I didn't have to wait 4 years for the sequel. My score is 7. Very, really good. I think people, myself included, forget just how much fun the Chuck can be.
My friend, concur with you. I would also give it a 7. It is just a very good scary movie, and it can definitely stand alone. Like,
Yes.
you don't need to watch the first 3. You don't need to see the second one. Like, this is a good standalone scary movie, and I would totally watch it again.
Yes.
And not even be like, no, we need a break. We need a little bit of time before we go and watch this again. Like, I'd watch it again next week.
I'm honestly kind of disappointed because I rented it, and I'm like, I should have bought it.
I should have bought it.
Yeah. I should have. It cost me, because this was a weird one, because it was a 4K UHD. I paid $6.99 or whatever it was. And for an extra $5 or $6, I could have owned it.
I concur.
I definitely will watch it again.
I concur. I was like, well, once I was done it, I was like, oh, this could totally go into my like rewatch rotation. But I was like, but I rented it. I did not buy it.
No.
So we're just going to wait until it shows up on a streaming service for free.
Yes.
And we'll go from there.
Yeah. And and you're right. It can be a standalone. It starts and it explains the story.
Yeah.
And it just ends with Chucky winning.
Yeah. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
And it's a
all is
complete
explained.
Story.
Yeah.
You don't need anything else. It's well done. It's well shot. The cinematography is good. It's creepy as fuck. And it preys on a lot of fears that people will have. So I'm like, this is just a good, solid movie. Weirdly. Yeah. You don't necessarily expect that from like the early 2010s, I should say. Yeah. The early 2010s horror movies. You're not thinking, yes, that's good and solid. This is good work. But it really is. I was a little surprised. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was going to be way shittier.
I did too. And because I wasn't quite buying the it being high on the list and its Rotten Tomato scores. I did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, pros and cons. Pros, the acting was definitely a pro. It was a simple movie, which really worked. And it was a Chucky movie. Cons, Ian getting hit by the car. And I mean, the wheelchair that was reaching slightly. I did not see her moving the leg. The next time I watch it, I'm going to watch it. But there weren't a lot of really cons in this movie. Like,
no. It was a good, solid movie. Solid acting, solid filmmaking. Was it spectacular? No, but it had good writing. The performances were great. Whoever did the set deck on this, give them a fucking Oscar, because that house was perfect.
Yeah.
The house was perfect. So I'm like...
Continuity was good. There were a couple
there was
hiccups,
nothing glaring. Yeah. It's just a good, solid movie.
Now, if you liked it then, if you liked it in 2013, I have to say you'll probably like it still. This is a simple, straightforward horror movie that is familiar but different.
Yes.
If you've never seen it, if you like Chucky movies and haven't seen this one like me, watch it. It's stellar. It's a stellar addition to the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Or even if you've never seen a Chucky movie, this is one you can watch without investing into multiple movies.
Yeah, because if you like Chucky's the first one, if you like the first Chucky one and not the sillier sequels, this one falls into that first category. Like, but if you don't like Chucky, this isn't going to change your mind.
No.
Like if you hate Chucky, it will not. Yeah.
You may be willing to tolerate Chucky a little bit more while watching this movie, but at the same time, you're not going to become a fan. And that's okay.
Yeah, no.
You don't have to be.
No. And anything you want to say, Chucky?
Don't fuck with the Chuck.
I love Chucky. And this leads us right into Cult of Chucky. And I will say this. After watching Curse of Chucky, I was genuinely excited to watch the next one.
Me too. I was so excited. I was like, well, if that's Curse of Chucky, I can't wait to see Cult of Chucky.
And as much as I enjoyed the slower tempo of Curse of Chucky, I was ready and hoping that the makers were going to crank up the chaos a bit. And a bit they did.
Chaotic is a great word to describe this movie.
Yes. Now, this version I rented was the uncut version. And during the opening, that's why I had to go back and find the end credit scene with Andy Barclay, because I was confused. When, like you said, I spent like the first little bit going, wait a minute, whoa, wait. So I went and I did, and like I explained, there was that whole scene at the end with Andy, which makes all the difference in this movie. And I probably should have mentioned that to you since you watched them today. I should have actually said, wasn't even thinking.
You know what though? It's okay. And here's why. Because it just makes me angrier at the filmmakers. Because I watched, or the distributors, whoever was in charge of cutting this godforsaken movie, or both movies, whoever was in charge of cutting them for distribution, we need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you cut something from the first movie, and you cut something from the second movie, and it means that neither of these movies make sense with each other, but they're very obviously connected.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, this is a straight sequel from Curse of Chucky. And I'm sitting there and I spent the first 20 to 30 minutes just being like, how is this possible? What the fuck? I don't understand. Huh? Where the fuck did that head come from? Like, there's a lot where I'm just like, what?
And
now
that's
you're telling
a shame.
me, yeah. Now the uncut versions are so. Note to everybody: watch the uncut versions.
Absolutely, yes.
Because when you watch the cut ones, you spend some time going, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Is there one Chucky that's not the real Chucky? I don't get it. It was very, very angering. I was very angry. So much anger. But anyways.
Yeah, so watching the end credit with Andy Barclay, which also made me wonder, like, if they made a fuck up. I mean, the ending I watched was Chucky killing Grandma and presumably putting his soul in Alice. Then the uncut version had the scene with Andy Barclay shooting Chucky with a shotgun. So I was still a little confused with the two endings, but I kind of it made the Cult of Chucky a lot, made it make a lot more sense. And I could see if it was an alternate ending, but it was not. This was two different conclusions to the same movie, and luckily Cult of Chucky explains it. And if you got to see the end credit, it's quite clever, or at least purposely done this way. Okay, so Andy Barclay returns home after breaking up with his girlfriend Rachel, who was disturbed about his dark history involving the multiple killing sprees committed by Chucky in the previous films. Great scene. It lets Andy explain the whole Chucky franchise practically at the dinner table.
Yes, and also fuck Rachel.
Yeah, she's just going there for a dinner.
I was like, really? Really? You're just gonna like be like, no, you have guns. Yes, I Googled you. I think we should break up. No, I don't like her.
Yeah, no. Andy is revealed to have Chucky's head, which is still conscious and deformed after being repeatedly tortured by Andy in retribution for his crimes. Also, his girlfriend or ex doesn't like guns. Like you said, Andy replies, so I have more than one gun. Andy can actually take on a small army with the amount of guns
When he said I own more than one.
I thought he meant two.
I thought he meant, well, no, this is still Andy. These are still the Chucky movies. I was like, he has like 4 or 5. Like strategically placed around his apartment. That's what I thought. Then I was like, dude, that's an armory. Like, you need to calm down.
Yeah, he could take on a small army.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
After Chucky starts taunting Andy uses a blowtorch once again to punish Chucky. Actually, he's smoking that joint, and then he does that. Can I get a hit off?
That was awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was awesome. Because Chucky isn't changing who he is just to avoid a little torture. But I'm now super wondering at this point, what about the part where Alice is being possessed? Like, what the fuck? Like, maybe they were ignoring it. This was the questions in my head while I'm watching. Yeah. Nika Pierce has spent the past 4 years in a mental institution after her family members were murdered in Curse of Chucky, which Chucky framed her for, after years of intense therapy, which includes electroshock therapy. FYI, that looks super shitty. Fucking
yes. There's a reason why it's no longer common practice.
Yeah. I was curious. I wonder what it feels like. Like putting your tongue on a 9. Remember putting your tongue on a 9-volt battery?
It feels like that only 1,000 times worse.
Yeah. But like, it's going to hurt, but you still put your tongue on it. Okay, so she now believes she did in fact commit the murders of her family and that Chucky was just a manifestation of her psychosis. Since Nika has apparently been making improvements, her doctor, Dr. Foley, has her transferred to a medium security mental institution. That was out in the middle of nowhere. That was a creepy place, just driving up to that fucking place.
Correct.
After arriving, Nika makes friends with an orderly named Carlos and begins a sexual relationship with another inmate named Malcolm.
I like Malcolm.
Yeah. I didn't think paraplegics felt sex. Or do they? These are stupid things I'm wondering while I'm watching a movie.
No, some of them do.
Okay.
Some of them have function in that area.
Because she looked like she
not.
did.
She seemed I was like, I don't know how we got here so quickly. But
she has been up in an institute for 4 years, so.
True, but I literally was sitting there and I was like, is it this kind of movie? Is this the kind of movie it is? Because I feel like we just took a hard left. I'm like, okay. But I was like, God bless.
Nika becomes part of a therapy group, which is composed of Malcolm, who is revealed to have multiple identities disorders, Angela, a resident of the institution for 30 years and believes herself to be dead, Claire, a woman who burned her house down, and Madeline, a disturbed patient that smothered her infant son to death. Dr. Foley introduces a new therapy technique that involves a good guy doll to the group. But most of the patients are disturbed by the doll except Madeline, who starts to see the doll as her baby. So now Chucky is locked up at Andy's house, and this Chucky at the Institute is going to get in all sorts of trouble. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But in a good way. Like, I'm thinking, can he jump from doll to doll? Is this doll going to be a different serial killer? Like Tom the serial killer? I don't know.
Here's my only thing. I like that they're kind of expanding the lore around Chucky. Like, I like that. What I don't like is that they're not explaining it to us.
Yeah, and
it's distracting.
I'm guessing. What the fuck?
Because I'm literally like, but wait, there was a talking Chucky head, and now this is Chucky. And then I'm like, but wasn't Alice also like possessed?
Didn't he go and get Alice? Yes. So
I'm like,
it
has
is
he
making
been jumping?
you
like I'm trying to figure it out in my head, and it takes me out of the movie. All I need is one scene with Jennifer Tilly to explain all the shit to me.
Which is coming.
And that's it. But I'm like, that should have been off the top. Or it should have been a conversation Andy had with like OG head. Like, somebody give me the information in a roundabout way where we could just be like, or, Chucky says something and then Andy's like, wait, what? Because what Chucky said suggests that he can be in multiple bodies. It's very angering because I was like, I spent so much time being like, I don't get it. What? Is this a real Chucky? Is that not a real Chucky? Oh my God. Are they now making little robots that are killer Chuckies? Like, I don't understand. So I was very upset. Anyways, go on.
Nika is visited by Tiffany, who was revealed to be Nika's niece, Alice's legal guardian. Yes, Tiffany was placed as the legal guardian. She reveals that Alice is dead, which distraughts Nika after Tiffany claims she died of a broken heart. That was kind of mean.
Yeah.
And then to make it even more confusing, Tiffany leaves Nika a good guy doll, which she says was a gift from Alice. That night, Chucky awakens and begins searching the hospital for Nika, running into Angela, who annoys him by saying that he is just an illusion. That was a great scene.
Yeah.
Like, he gets so fucking annoyed. He's like, that's it. Yeah. You're fucking next. After finding Nika, he discovers that she is attempting suicide by slashing her wrist because of her despair over her niece's death. The next morning, she awakens, surprisingly, to find that her wrists have been stitched up with the message of "not so fast" left in the pool of her blood. Again, that was awesome too.
It was awesome, and I was so sad about Alice dying. I was mad.
Yes.
I was like, not her. Oh God, not her.
It just reaffirms, though, at the end of Curse of Chucky, he did get her.
Yeah.
Which, it was not a good ending. Chucky wins in that movie.
Yeah.
And seeing the not so fast in the pool of blood was awesome. And this is it's a faster pace, but it's still not explaining everything.
Yes. I'm still confused.
Yeah, it's not playing out like I thought. And actually, for me, seeing the uncut version is a total compliment. This movie has more than one twist in it. And her trying to hide the blood from Carlos and all that was pretty cool too. She then discovers that Angela has died, apparently of suicide, after having her wrist cut, and the message, "Chucky did it," left in her pool of blood.
Very sad, but yes.
Yeah, I would have already
there are a
by
lot
this
of pools
time.
Of blood.
Yes, I would have had Nika wrapped up and shipped off immediately.
Right?
Like as a precaution or just in case. Angela's death leaves the group shaken, and after realizing that Valentine was the last name of Charlie Ray's girlfriend, Nika challenges Dr. Foley to prove that Chucky is just a doll. He does so by using a lighter to melt the fingers of one of the dolls, but it does not respond. Nika then states that he might have switched places with the doll Madeline has been using, but Madeline gets defensive and leaves. So now I'm actually thinking Chucky's jumping from the head to another doll to another doll.
It was all very confusing.
Yes. Plus, bravo on the Madeline character. Like, more disturbed I could not have been by that character.
The Madeline character was fantastic.
Yeah, she, and again, the acting in this movie, they found great character actors. Yeah. Because she was disturbing.
It's hard to do mentally unwell without taking it to a caricature.
Yes.
But sitting there and I was like, oh, I believe you're fully delusional. I believe that you think this is your infant son. I believe that you really think you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, cool.
Yeah, I was kind of sad that the old lady died because she was kind of funny.
She was.
Anyways, Nika and Malcolm follow her until she goes outside. One of the nurses, Ashley, believes that Nika is upsetting Madeline and won't let her go out. So she distracts Ashley, the nurse, while Malcolm follows Madeline. At the same time, Claire tries to get rid of the doll with the melted fingers. However, when she tries to put Chucky down the trash chute, Chucky bites her, and that is when she realizes Chucky is actually alive. Mm-hmm. Another great scene.
Yes.
This movie is ratcheting up the crazy very quickly.
It's getting a little extra.
And I totally bought like Claire's character. Like, get rid of this fucking doll, and then yeah. Dr. Foley comes along with Carlos and sees the bite marks on Claire's arm, believes she must have done it to herself. Claire becomes hysterical, screaming that Chucky is alive. So Dr. Foley and Carlos sedate her and strap her to the gurney. They leave Chucky alone with her in the room. Knowing that Chucky is, a rascal. Nothing good is going to come from leaving him in a room with her. And strapped to that bed, sedated. Doesn't Dr. Foley say she can hear and understand and see and feel everything? She just can't react.
But I'm sitting there and I was like, I'm pretty sure the drug that does that to you actually kills you if you don't have like a breathing tube in.
Nika watches through a window as Malcolm, now believing himself to be Facebook creator Mark Zuckerberg, follows Madeline into the hospital cemetery, where she stops next to an open grave. She then throws her Chucky doll into the grave, and when Malcolm comes to look, she pushes him in. Nika becomes worried and sees Ashley and the orderly run over to help Malcolm out of the grave. He comes out holding the Chucky doll and gives Nika an evil smile, frightening her. Again, another great scene, like well-placed confusion on top of more confusion. Chucky's everywhere. There's multiple dolls, crazy people running around.
To be honest, if we didn't have the previous confusion, then I could have, he's not in the doll anymore. He's in Malcolm.
Yeah.
But then when the doll does something evil, you can be like, wait a second. But because we already have all of the other confusion, I'm just like, I don't understand. Are they all possessed? Are they not all possessed? Is someone possessed? I don't get it.
The Chucky doll with the melted fingers that is alone with Claire finds a container of compressed air. He opens it and the container flies through the skylight above Claire. Okay, so he also asks if the compressed container means what he thinks it means. And it comes across as him playing around with Claire, but he's like, he really isn't sure.
Yeah.
And then when he slams on the ground and it just goes flying into the window, causing shards of glass to fall, one of which decapitates her. This scene goes so slow from the glass breaking and the falling in slow-mo to poor fucking Claire only being able to just watch it. Like, what's going to happen and you're watching it knowing she's going to die, but what part of the glass is going to kill her and how. It was a great kill
eyes
scene.
Are tearing.
Yes.
It was
she knows she's fucked.
There's a good amount of, oh God, what is that? Suspense built up during that scene.
Yes.
That you're like, I think I know what he's going to do. I think, oh yeah, no, he did it. And then you're like, is she going to porcupine it? Like where everything's just sticking out of her body? Is she going to slowly bleed to death? Like what's the deal? And then when she gets decapitated, I was like, oh.
Yeah. I actually thought what you said, I thought it was going to be just shards everywhere like porcupine.
Yeah. I did not have decapitation on my killing bingo card.
Nope.
It's not on there.
Claire's body is found by Nika, who begins frantically screaming. News of the murder is soon leaked online, which alerts Andy and causes him to depart for the institution. Now, this is also a great scene because he's just as confused as I am. He's like, how the fuck are you doing this? And then Chucky explains, or he says, what? You thought there was only one of me? Which ends up being a mistake, classic villain explanation syndrome and all that. Just not being able to help themselves from telling their whole evil plot. Yes. Yeah. But he does say, what? You thought there was only one of me?
Mm-hmm.
And which still doesn't explain everything, but you're like, oh, wait, okay.
But now you know it's a possibility that there's more than one of, like a well-established possibility.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is like new shit that they're dealing with.
In a private session with Dr. Foley, Nika agrees to be hypnotized in order to regain any repressed memories about her involvement in the murders. When she is under, Dr. Foley kisses her and reveals that he has been sexually abusing Nika in their previous sessions. Side villain reveal.
This was not needed. I will tell you this, not needed at all. He was already super creepy. You could have done it so that he was manipulating her so that he could write a book to profit from it. But like this whole sexual abuse thing and sexual assault, we don't need it.
No,
no.
Yeah, he actually didn't seem like that great of a doctor to begin with. Like you said, like, no. And
there was so much wrong with him.
But I didn't see this part coming. But I don't know if they wanted to do this to root for his death.
Maybe they were like, no, really, he's not trying to help them. And I'm like, I can get that, but like, no offense, I knew from the beginning.
Yeah, he wasn't a great doctor.
The very first time he shows up, I'm like, this guy's not here to help her.
No.
Yeah, no. You don't need that scene. It takes it to a tawdry place. You know, it takes it where it's unnecessary trauma and unnecessary abuse of a woman for no good reason. He was already manipulating her during the hypnosis into convincing her that she's committing these new murders. I'm like, that's dastardly enough. You don't need to compound that with her being taken advantage of.
I thought he was actually going to ask her, get to some questions where he finds out that she was telling the truth.
Yeah.
But it turns out he was too busy diddling her.
So
Foley is then hit from behind by Chucky with a glass bottle, who offers the shards to Nika so she could kill Foley. And actually, like, Chucky's like, and they call me sick.
Yeah.
Now, it cuts to Nika passing out, and in a dream, Nika sees Alice, and it's, I believe, the original Alice from Curse of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
And is being chased by a human-sized Chucky doll. Isn't it a giant-sized Chucky? Because he's standing over Nika at the end of the dream, isn't he?
Well, it would be a giant, but
yeah,
like human size as opposed to little.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so the next day, Nika sits with Madeline and Malcolm, who is now claiming to be Charles Lee Ray. Following Madeline, who is holding one of the Chucky dolls, and takes it to her room. Nika runs into Dr. Foley, who is alive and believes it was Nika who assaulted him, but is not going to tell anyone. If she, like, what does he say? I'm not going to tell anyone if you don't tell anyone.
Yeah, it was basically one of those, but I'm like, didn't you hypnotize her so that she can't remember? So what the fuck would she tell?
I think my understanding is that he believes that she snapped out of it and assaulted him.
Oh, wasn't he looking at her?
What's that?
When he got hit, he was looking at her.
But he's not going to believe that the Chucky doll. He's still not believing that the Chucky doll.
True story.
While driving to the asylum, Andy receives a phone call from Tiffany, who taunts him and claims that the cult is growing. At the asylum, Madeline is in her room and tries suffocating Chucky with a pillow as she did with her son. When Nika, Dr. Foley, and Malcolm enter, Madeline has an emotional breakdown, finally claiming responsibility for the death of her child. Dr. Foley arranges a funeral for her Chucky doll as a way to helping her move forward.
Mm-hmm.
The movie does a good job at kind of playing with the audience and keeping you guessing. What I mean by that is Carlos seems like a good guy, but then you're not sure. The nurse Ashley, she seems sweet, and then there's these weird moments where you're like, wait a minute, is she part of the cult? Like, it's when Jennifer Tilly says the cult is growing.
Yeah.
Where, like, now I don't trust anybody.
Oh no, I always trusted Carlos. I don't
Did
know
you?
why.
Okay.
He had a very trustworthy face.
I
the
didn't
nurse
trust
I went
the
back
nurse.
and forth on.
Yeah. Like, it's not Shutter Island level. But for a 7th installment of a horror franchise, it's doing a good job, at least to me, like that, like trying to decide who's good here and who's not.
See, but here's the thing. I feel like it almost, for this, it feels almost random. Like there's no logic to it. It's just all of a sudden, like when at the beginning of this, when I said it was chaotic, I really meant it. Because you're getting thrown from idea to idea to idea.
Right.
And you're like, I don't even think there's a reason why we're here. How did we get here? There's a lot of that in this movie, and it's really, really hard to kind of to follow it. Because all of a sudden you're like, well, this is where we're at.
Yeah.
All right, let's go from here. Because we can't take anything that happened with us forward. This is just we're here now. Let's keep going. So yeah, there's a lot of that. But yeah, no, for the nurse, I was kind of back and forth. I was like, I don't know if you're part of the cult or not. You're now you seem nice. Now you don't. I don't understand. Are you helping? Carlos, I was always team Carlos. I was like, you're good peeps. The doctor, I knew he was a creep from the very beginning.
I did think Malcolm was actually possessed.
I thought so too for a hot second.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't. I was a little disappointed. Also, R.I.P. Malcolm. That was super sad. I was very sad.
Andy arrives at the institution that night and assaults a guard to gain entry, but ends up confined in a cell. Nika is watching the grave of Madeline's Chucky doll when she sees the ground break before she can alert anyone. However, the Chucky doll knocks her out with a sedative. The other Chucky doll. So the one Chucky doll is breaking into the grave. The other Chucky doll pops up behind her with a needle. Foley is sent a package, which is revealed to be another good guy doll with short red.
I'm pretty sure that one came from Andy's house. Oh yeah, it did, because it explained. But I was like, that's Andy's doll.
Madeline's Chucky doll, covered in dirt, comes to her room, and she allows him to kill her so she can finally be with her son in death. Chucky stuffs his arm down her throat, choking her to death. Ashley finds her body and Chucky's arm stuffed in her mouth and is so traumatized she gives her resignation to Dr. Foley. She's not part of the cult.
No, but yes, that scene was traumatizing because I was like, oh God.
Yeah, the choking her. Yeah.
No, it was.
Well, now the chaos is firing on all cylinders. Yeah. And there's more to come. Foley returns to his office and finds Nika tied in a straitjacket. Is this where he puts on the shoes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
This is the shoe scene. Because why just be a one-way kind of perv?
Yeah.
Let's add another perv attribute to him.
And then he gets hit over the head by a glass bottle again by Chucky.
Yes.
And Chucky's like, I don't know whether to kill this guy or take notes. The Chucky doll with the missing arm enters holding a power drill, notices the doll on Foley's desk with the shaved hair, and proceeds to awaken it with an incarnation. Actually, he says, what's with that doll? Or when did he get here? And now the three Chuckies reveal that a few years ago, the original Chucky found a voodoo spell on the internet which allowed him to separate his soul into multiple host bodies, and that Alice was one of his hosts until she apparently died after one Chucky victim fought back against her. First, it was a voodoo website for dummies, voodoofordummies.com.
I can appreciate that website. I appreciated that.
Reaffirming that both endings were on purpose, and a sad ending for Alice. Like, now the three Chucky dolls were explaining everything.
Yeah.
And that Alice did not make it. The Hannibal reference, when Chucky was saying that I can't believe that show got canceled, that was Don Mancini, the creator. He was a writer and producer on that show, the Hannibal show.
That explains it. I was like, I appreciate the hurt, but
the whole scene with the three Chuckies was awesome. I thought was awesome.
It was a good scene. I'll give you that.
Yeah, with the three dolls, and they're just talking about being Chucky and what they're up to, and then
and
poor
I was
Carlos.
So happy to know what finally fucking happened.
What's actually going on with the movie. Yeah. Now and then poor Carlos then enters, and you could tell on his face just fucking shocked of what was just going on. And then the three little Chuckies just rush him and horribly mutate him.
Yeah, no, I'm very upset about that. Carlos did not deserve that.
Yeah, I like Carlos.
I liked Carlos. He did not deserve it. Nika should have been quicker with the run. She waits until like all the Chuckies are pretty much on him, and then just run.
But he still didn't. I think like he was in shock. And I loved how at the end they're like, "Did you see what I did? Did you see?"
Yes, I love that. I love the Chucky dialogues in in the second half of the movie.
Yes,
I'm like, yes, this is funny.
Then they argue about who is going to kill Andy. And the third one is like, "Hello, my hair." And the fact that they're like, "Oh, you're right.
Oh yeah,
pal.
no,
you go fuck him up real good."
I love that because I'm like, really, if you think about it, women all over the world have had that moment where they're like, I got a really bad haircut. If I could go fuck up my hairdresser right now, I would.
Well, the one's like, I should get to do it. Look what I burnt my fingers off.
Yeah.
You got to suck on titty is what the one doll said. And then the one doll's like, hello, my hair.
My hair.
Oh, no, you're right, but oh, no,
yeah, go fuck him up. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, go fuck him up good.
I like that that's the biggest. Your hand is pretty much melted off.
But they understand over the hair.
The hair.
The Chucky with the short hair leaves to finish off Andy. Outside the hospital, the guard Andy punched earlier notices a car out by the front gates. He goes to investigate, but finds it empty except for a doll in the back seat. The human Tiffany then comes up behind him and slashes his throat with a nail file. Again, I cannot stress how cool Jennifer Tilly is to me. I love her. And just seeing her being a little bit more in this movie as the doll as well. The doll hasn't done anything yet, but you know it being there has something. Back in the office, the Chucky with the melted fingers transfers his soul to Nika, taking over her body and giving her the ability to walk. In Nika's honor, the Chucky possessed Nika proceeds to stomp Foley's skull in while wearing the red high heels he had placed on her earlier. Yeah, because the doctor turned out to be a piece of shit, but also a weirdo to boot. And that head stomping thing was fucking gross.
So fucking gross.
Stomped the shit out of it.
So fucking gross. I was watching it and I was like, oh God. Well, don't get me wrong. He deserved it.
Yeah,
but
he deserved it. It was gross, but yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sounds it made. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Chucky, or Nika, wanders the hospital and stumbles upon Malcolm, who shows her the body of Ashley, the nurse, with a power drill in her abdomen and says he killed her. Nika shoots down his claim and calls him a sick poser. Malcolm breaks down and states that he takes on so many personalities as a way of trying to be someone who matters. The Chucky with the missing arm comes up behind him and uses the power drill to drill through the back of his skull, coming out right through his eye socket.
Rip Malcolm. Because and I felt so bad for him because I was like, Malcolm was just trying to find himself. We couldn't let him survive.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, he was just
didn't deserve it.
He wasn't part of the Chucky cult, so the movie was playing with the audience. The Chucky with the short hair enters Andy's cell, stabs him in the leg, and attacks him. After a brief struggle, Andy reaches into Chucky's chest and pulls out a gun, revealing himself as the one who mailed him to the doctor, and shoots that Chucky doll repeatedly before stomping on its head.
Mm-hmm.
Again, twist after twist. And I thought and I don't know if it's because I knew it I saw that scene at the ending of Curse of Chuck Lee. I thought it was done well, and him mailing the Chucky doll with the gun inside of it.
Yeah.
But because now I'm with all these Chuckies running around with all their voices, I'm just in enjoyment mode. The doctor's
for me, though,
dead.
As soon as he gets the gun out, right, he shoots the Chucky doll. And my first thought was, I hope he put an extra mag in that doll too. That was my first thought. And it looked like it was a good thought. He really should have. He put all of his bullets in the little doll.
Yeah. Which wasn't going to stop him. And he should have known that.
He should have known. He's not an amateur. It's very disappointing.
Nika, who is now Chucky, then appears and says Andy won't kill him while he's possessing Nika's body. Andy tries to shoot him anyway, but is out of bullets. So Andy would have shot Nika anyways. He was just out of bullets. I think Chucky put a little too much faith in Andy's good side. They didn't really know each other, so killing her wasn't going to be that big of a deal. Can I also go back to when Andy took the Chucky head to the doctor? And Chucky and Nika reunite with Tiffany, and the two reaffirm the relationship with a kiss before driving off together with the Tiffany doll, who is also revealed to be alive. So again, not a happy ending unless you're Team Chucky. Then totally happy ending.
It also still felt like, I remember at one point I paused the movie because I was like, I have been watching this movie for a really long time and I feel like we're no further along in the story. And then I looked and I was like, there's 15 minutes left in this.
Right.
I was like, what the fuck? Then I looked it up. And apparently the series is a direct sequel to this movie.
I'm about to get to that. Yes.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
And Fiona Dorff,
yes,
she did a pretty good job at becoming Chucky. She did the laugh, and I did see after this movie, I did see an interview where she worked with her dad quite extensively to try to get his mannerisms and facial expressions and that laugh as best as she could. I thought she did a good job.
She did a great job. I give no fault to her at all.
Now, in the post-credit scene, Andy's former foster sister, Kylie, from Child's Play 2, enters Andy's house, having been sent by Andy to pick up the Chucky severed head.
Uh-huh.
And the film ends with Chucky screaming in agony because she breaks through and she's like, Kylie. He's like, Kylie. And it's Kylie from Child's Play 2, the foster sister that helps Andy escape that movie, which was an awesome surprise. I remember her from a bunch of stuff from the 90s. One of my favorites was The Body Snatchers from the 90s. And you probably remember as Emily Valentine.
That's right.
I saw that on the IMDb. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Anna remembers.
No, literally, she showed up on the screen and I was like, Emily Valentine, what are you doing here?
Oh, from 90210.
Her story arc, she had two main story arcs where she was actually on the show with Brandon Walsh. Okay. Pivotal to my youth and to the youth of millions. Because they taught us, okay, 1, don't be a stalker. 2, if you're going to stalk somebody, you stalk Jason Priestley. And 3, even stalkers can be forgiven. But don't be a stalker. So, I mean, pivotal. But anyways, back to this, back to the movie.
No, that was awesome seeing her bust through the door. And all this leads right into the Chucky TV series, including Fiona Dorff, Brad Dorff, Jennifer Tilly, Kylie, and Andy. And apparently the TV series carries on the multiple Chucky. At least season 1 does. Carries on the multiple Chuckies and all these characters trying to fight all of them. What are your initial thoughts of this movie? Because I think we differ a lot on this movie.
Overall, like, it had its good points, but overall, I feel like they wasted this movie.
Right.
Like, it could have been better. It could have done more. It had some funnier parts. Like, I laughed a little bit more than the last one, but it was a very different movie.
Yes.
But it felt
a way
unfinished.
different movie.
It felt super unfinished.
Yes.
And that drives me nuts.
Now, okay. After Curse of Chucky, I wanted a Chucky movie with a bit more humor and craziness, and Cult of Chucky delivered the craziness and the humor. Like I said, it wasn't Shutter Island or Knives Out, but I thought for a horror movie, again, on its 7th feature film, it did a pretty good job of pulling out some twists and turns. You are right. A super, super cliffhanging movie.
Yeah. And for me, it felt like almost a failure in storytelling, where I'm like, there are too many twists and turns.
Right.
There's too much. You're making this way more complicated than it needs to be. And it's fucking with the audience. So unless you're already a diehard Chucky fan, this movie is going to feel like too much goddamn work.
Yes, I am a diehard Chucky fan. But yes, this is not a standalone movie.
Oh God, no.
No,
not
at
even
all.
A little. No.
This is a prequel to a TV series.
But you need the previous movie in order to understand.
Yes.
Because they don't give you enough information to walk into this movie without having watched Curse of Chucky. So
now, Don Mancini did say that, I believe, that after Curse of Chucky, they were working towards Cult of Chucky. And by the time Cult of Chucky was ready to go and Universal was all ready for it, they already had the go-ahead to start working on the TV series. So this movie, he did do it on purpose to lead it up to the TV series. The acting was great. The actors were obviously invested and they looked like they were having a ball, and all the acting was really good. Again, for a straight to video streaming movie, the acting was phenomenal.
The acting was really good. The set design was great.
And they just had enough extras to make it look bigger than it actually was.
Yeah. And the set design for the institution was very almost cartoonish. So it was a good setting for the action that's just a little bit out there. Sometimes I feel like they went too far out there. And the whole like subplot with the doctor abusing Nika, I'm like, we really didn't need that. He was already abusing her by trying to convince her that she's a murderer. Yeah. You don't need the other stuff. It felt sensationalist. And I'm like, I don't like it. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. Also, the actor who played the doctor was super good.
Oh, yeah.
Giving us the creep factor from the very beginning.
Yep.
Like, you could have taken out that whole thing and never done, although I understand you wanted to put shoes on her so she could walk out of the hospital. I'm like, I get that. Like, couldn't you have, like, had her take off shoes from someone who's dead in the hospital or something like that? Like, it was just, there was times where I was just like, okay. But I mean, the acting was incredible.
Yeah.
Very creative kills. It wasn't overly gory. It was gory. Let's make that super clear.
Yeah.
But it wasn't super excessive.
No. Okay. Now so I'll give my score. And
hit me.
This movie, not unlike the previous one, could have gone to theaters. Just the way it looked, the way it was shot, the cinematography, and the acting. It ends either with the bad guys winning and a giant cliffhanger. And this my score is based on if you want to invest into the TV show. But I had so much fun watching this movie that I will totally be watching seasons 1 and 2 and the third season that was just announced back in January. I think Chucky gets overlooked sometimes by me, and I don't know why. If you look at all his movies by the big horror franchises, and there are a few, I think Chucky might be the most consistent of them all. He's funny, he's creepy, the gore is well done, the acting is well done, and these new stories are phenomenal. You know what you are in for, and he doesn't disappoint. As far as I can remember, Chucky's just fun. This movie was just fun. And I agree, you have to be ready to invest in the future, the TV series. And the two work so well together that you have to watch Curse of Chucky to watch this movie. Like, there's no getting around that. At least if it's the first time. I'm hoping the TV show is half as batshit bananas as this movie was, with creator Don Mancini and the entire feature cast on board. You can tell they had big ideas for Chucky, and I'm betting it will be awesome. But even alone, Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky are great horror movies together. It does go better with Curse of Chucky. I can't stress that enough. And the uncut version of Curse of Chucky. But still a fun, silly horror movie with enough one-liners and gore for any Chucky fan. This is one cult I will sign up for. Not like that Scientology cult.
Fuck them bitches.
Oh, they should have put Chucky in Scientology.
Oh, Jesus.
That'd be a movie. Chucky versus Tom Cruise. I give it an 8. Awesome. After Curse of Chucky, I was right back on the Chucky bandwagon and wanted a more deranged and demented Chucky movie. And Cult of Chucky delivered that in spades. It was so much fun.
Are you ready for me?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 5.7.
5.7.
So between it was okay and pretty kind of good.
Yep.
The only reason I would rewatch is if I was about to start the series at a later date. So I need a refresher. But there were ways they could have written the script so that it had more of a closure to it and it felt like a complete entity. Instead, it felt like it just all of a sudden cuts off. And I'm like, but there should be more. Like, it didn't feel final for the end. And I get why they did it. But if you're not planning on watching the series, then you're just...
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Left floating. I already told you all the other things I didn't like about the movie.
Yeah.
I loved all the acting.
Yes. That is definitely a pro.
Yes. The Chucky, on point.
The multiple Chuckies.
Multiple Chuckies.
That
super
was
on
definitely
point.
a pro.
Because even though they're all technically, I guess, the same Chucky, they all weirdly have their own, like, shtick. I'm not going to say personalities because it's basically the same personality, but there's individuality.
A little different. Yeah. Yeah. They
there's like
have a little individuality to them.
A little bit of individuality, which I'm like, you know what? That right there is genius in directing. That's genius in writing. So I'm like, it's good.
And that actually makes me excited about seeing the TV series. I am going to watch the TV series.
I'm going to watch the TV series too, because also I can't deal with things being unfinished.
Yeah.
I watched Dawson's Creek to the end. Even though I hated that goddamn show. But I was like, I need to know how it ends.
Didn't end that great.
No, the ending wasn't that great.
No, it wasn't one to remember.
Katie Holmes only makes like 2 faces through the entire series.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, anyways, I'm off track. Overall, there were really good parts of this movie. I think the parts that they didn't do well ruined it for me.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes me mad. Because I'm like, they wouldn't even have to make huge changes to make it a better standalone, to make it a better continuation of Curse of Chucky, to make it a better lead into the series. I'm like, it wouldn't have taken much. But I think because they were already, I guess, ready for the series to get started, they just were like, oh, we'll make this and it'll be like a prequel for this. And I'm like, okay, but not everybody's going to watch the series.
No.
So if I'm watching this movie, I'm like, well, that's not very well done. I understand it overall because I watched Cult, or I watched Curse, then I watched Cult. And now I'm like, well, now I want to watch the series because I want to know what happens. And I've heard really good things about the series.
Yeah.
But the movie itself on its own like if we're not including everything else, it lacks. If we're putting it in with Curse of Chucky and the series, yeah, totally works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you still need, even if it's a sequel, it still needs to be able to stand on its own.
Yeah.
This one cannot be an island.
Yeah, fair enough.
Has to be part of an archipelago.
If you liked it in 2017, it wasn't that long ago, and you'll probably still like it. If you didn't like it in 2017, yeah, probably.
You're probably still not going to like it.
If you've never seen it, if you like Chucky movies and you haven't seen this one like me, yes, I actually wrote this down. Watch it with Curse of Chucky. It's not Donnie Darko or Tennant, but it's way more enjoyable paired together. And it's probably, and I agree with Anna by saying that it made me more excited for the TV series, but I do see your point where if you haven't no interest in watching a TV series, I can see where this movie, like there's cliffhangers, and this is like tune in next week for the next episode.
Exactly. It's like someone hit pause on the story.
Yeah.
And the series is them pressing play on the story again. Like that's what I have issues with.
Yes.
At least a cliffhanger has a conclusion to it where you're like, this is the end for now. And you're okay if you never watch anything afterwards.
Yeah.
This is not that.
But yeah, if you have not seen any of them, watch Curse of Chucky. Watch Curse of Chucky uncut before this movie. Or
100% take it from someone.
Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes of Cult of Chucky. What is going on? I don't understand. I'm so confused. And then once we figure it out, I'm like, why couldn't we have this conversation like towards 10 minutes of confusion? I get 20 to 30. I'm like, come on, guys, this is excessive. Yeah, no, but I think there were things that could have done better. But overall, if you watch Curse of Chucky and then you go into Cult of Chucky, entertaining, super entertaining. Also, everybody watch the uncut ones.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I'm glad I watched them both too.
Sorry,
I actually got more out of the Cult of Chucky, but yeah, it did make me really excited for the TV series. I can't wait.
Now I need to watch the TV series.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,